Welcome to the Sega Lounge, where we celebrate our love for all things Sega, including the games, the music, and the community. I'm your host, KC. Join me as I talk to different guests and learn more about their projects and passion for Sega. Indeed. I don't know what happened, but welcome to the Sega Lounge.
I heard just very, very fast, very loud typing just out of nowhere.
Okay. Welcome to the Sega Lounge, where we type loudly. Yes.
Just like, I'm just going to get something in very, very quickly before we start. Oh, no.
Caught in the act. So as you can tell by the loud typing and the giggling, I'm not alone this week. Welcome to episode 232 of the Sega Lounge. This is our Sage 2024 special, and I am joined by some good friends. Hello, everyone. So from my left, right? So from whatever direction you want to say, we have Lime reversed. Hello, Lime.
Hello.
Hello. We have Viper.
Hello.
Hello. And we have Lewis, aka Sonic Yoda.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, that was short and simple and sweet. Nice. Hope everyone's doing okay. Thank you guys for joining me for this episode of the Sega Lounge. We're doing our Sage 2024 episode. Whether you're listening on Radio Sega or watching on Twitch, YouTube, etc., all the other video services, Vimeo, I don't know. We don't have a TikTok account, but maybe like one of these days. But whether you're listening or watching, we hope you enjoy this episode. We're gonna go through some of our favorite games from this week, and this year's expo. We have a lot of ground to cover, so we're gonna get started right away. But not right away. Let me just give a quick message to tell you that you should actually subscribe to our YouTube channel, right? Lime, yeah, quick. Yeah. You should subscribe to our YouTube channel because we're posting video versions of our episodes and some interesting clips from present and previous episodes of the Sega Lounge. That's our quick message. Thank you so much for listening to this PSA. Quick message. Important announcement, PSA. Right. So, Lime, Viper, Sonic Yoda, thank you very much for joining me. We spent some time playing some of this year's Sage games, and we picked 4 games each. Although I think there's one that overlaps somehow. We'll talk about that. So I'm guessing we're gonna spend a little bit more time on that one. But it's like 15 games, all in all, that we picked to highlight. A lot of games. By the way, I didn't discuss this with you, just like I did it last year. Did you pick your games and did you put them on the list in any sort of order, or was it at random?
Yes. Ish.
Yeah, no, mine's in order from 4 to 1 is my fave sort of thing. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think mine as well, in a way, because I have 2 separate categories. I have Sonic games and indie games. So yeah, I think so. I think it's in order in a way. Yeah.
What about David Adventure and Knuckles?
That was on the list somehow. David Adventure and Knuckles DX Blast. I don't know who put that there. No, I was thinking about covering that this year, but maybe Sage 2025. I think it needs a little bit of polish for it to be covered on this show. It's like it doesn't meet the requirements.
I might have seen KC do the list and added in a made-up game.
That's definitely a possibility. Yeah, definitely a possibility. Yeah, for sure. Also, hello to people watching us live. We're live. So hello, SD, Lewis from the Dreamcast Junkyard, Jumi, and anyone else lurking about. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to comment on the content that we're going to share. We will also, and if you're watching the video version of this. There's typing, and there will be video footage of the games to accompany our comments here. Okay, so should we follow the order that we have here? Lewis, Viper, Lime, KC. Let's do that.
Happy to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
So, Lewis, let's start with you. You always grace us with your coverage, your yearly coverage of Sage
Thank you very much.
over at your YouTube channel. You picked 4 great games, I have to say. Yeah, I knew number 2. I knew would be on your list for sure. Yeah, I knew we would. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
But would you like to tell us what your first game is?
Yeah, so my first pick is Sonic Grind. Should have really kept track of the developers on these. So bear with me a second. I will definitely pick that up as I'm talking about the game.
Fractal Cherries.
Fractal Cherries. That's the one. That's the one.
Of course,
yes.
of course.
So this is one of the nichest crossovers I think I've ever seen in a Sonic fan game. So Sonic Grind is very much what if Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but you were Sonic. So yeah, it's quite simplistic in the setup. It's WASD controls to move around, and then everything else is done with the spacebar. So jumping, rolling, tricking, grinding, it's all just done by the spacebar. You can also hand plant at the top of ramps and things like that. Yeah, it's a little finicky with the keyboard controls. I think we would have all preferred to be able to play this with a controller, but that's not to say that won't happen in the future. So room for improvement at least. And at the moment, it's only the single map, but it's a good stage to muck around in. And yeah, you can, once you get to grip with the controls, you can really start to link together lots of long combos. But yeah, it's just a really unique setup. I'm surprised that nobody else has tried this before. And the execution just is spot on, even just using the advanced, sprite set. It works really well for the sort of low poly look that they're going for with the very low texture quality. It definitely thematically looks nice together. I was just really surprised with this one. I had a lot of fun with it. It's got a nice selection of missions to go through, very much like a classic mode in a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game. And when you complete them all, you unlock a secret character. So there is incentive to at least try and play the demo to its completion. But yeah, really impressed with this. Had a lot of fun with it, and yeah, spent an inordinate amount of time with it, considering it's such a short little demo. So that was a good sign that it was definitely doing something that was really appealing. I will have a full review of this up on Sega Driven tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. So if you want to watch the video, please do. But yeah, that's my fourth pick.
Excellent. Have any of you guys tried this one?
No, and I'm regretful because I was mesmerized watching that footage. You can see my face just practically not moving. That's like everything I want. Sonic and Tony Hawk, sign me up.
Yeah, it looks like fun. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. I tried it. I failed miserably because keyboards,
yeah, I think
fingers.
We all had the same problem last year, didn't we, with that Knights fan game where it was just like, come on, just give us some controller support. It would just set this off so much better. And yeah, like I think that's the main improvement on this one. It would be nice to have controller support in a future release.
But it's understandable. It's just one stage, and it's really early into development.
Absolutely.
And they say coming soon, more stages, more characters, controller support. So
I really hope that happens. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where that one goes for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a game for me as well. Like it has that advanced style. The graphics are like advanced style. The animations are amazing. The tricking, yeah. If only I could control this better, I would have added this to my list as well for sure. But I don't think it would be fair to just say, yeah, this was great, but I don't like the controls. Although I'm going to do that later, but it's okay. Okay, so Sonic Grind, one to check out for sure. Lewis, is saying has a Sonic battle on GBA look to it for sure. Yeah, excellent.
Definitely. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next up, we have Viper. You're up.
Oh, hey. My turn.
Your turn.
What did I put first? Sonic Rush 3D.
A game.
A game, indeed. That's the
game.
highest praise I have for it. Should we move on?
Okay, so
you
I
know
have.
what footage you have? You
Yeah,
don't need to put that on. It's fine. We can
I'll
move on.
put it. I'm just looking for it because I forgot to add this to the list for some reason. But
Even though
yeah,
you
you
swore to me
can
you had
just
footage of it,
talk
like,
about
3
it. You can
times.
talk about it. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, this is one I've been following for a while because from memory it was in, or at least interested in for a while. It was in a stage a few years back, wasn't it? With a different level, I seem to recall.
Yeah, Ocean Palace, I think, previously.
Yeah, the second
to
stage or
away
something
from
like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's not in this one, which was a little bit of a
Which I
shame, but I'm
thought
guessing
was-
it's going to
yeah,
get
it's
some,
very odd.
Mm-hmm.
going to be getting some like polish and stuff, probably, right? Because the level that's in here is about 5 minutes long, which blew me away, first of all, because I'm so used to short boost levels now in Sonic games now, thanks to like Forces and Frontiers all being like sub 2 minutes. So I was shocked. I think I spent about 6 minutes my first run through of Leaf Storm is the stage, by the way. I just remembered it. that was a lot of exposition to not remember the name of it, but it's really tough to describe what I like about this one without like comparing it to other things, because I already like a lot of the Boost Sonic games anyway, and it obviously takes so much from them while still keeping its roots in Sonic Rush in particular, but it actually brings it forward so far as to like Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Generations, and like various other mechanics. You can see the drifting is going on in here, something you can't do in a 2D plane, obviously. There's no reason to. And just like loads of little things which brings it in line with future games while still making it feel, you know, you got that pixel aesthetic of Sonic Rush and the music in the background, right? There's just, I don't know, there's just a certain charm about this, a certain aesthetic it captures through its simplicity that not only benefits the look of it, but even like the performance of it as well. I've seen people running it on potatoes. You know, that's very nice because I think it runs like sub 720p, but because that's the art style, that looks perfect, it runs well, etc. So that was like a big thing for me about it, is the look and feel of it. It's definitely still got some areas that I'd like to see improved. I got soft locked at one point about 1 minute into the level and had to start again. There's like a couple control scheme issues that I had that did get better on a subsequent playthrough. So yeah, there's definitely room for improvement, but it's just a really impressive, not even first showing, but like as a second showing, it still blows you away, right? I mean, just looking at the footage here, like the scale and the scope of this level is huge, even bigger than like a lot of official Sonic levels in the same style. So it really stuns in that way. Yeah, I guess that's what I liked about it, and I like the original Sonic Rush anyway. To see it translated so well into a 3D setting, and yet it doesn't over-rely on the original game either. Almost all of the level ideas and aesthetics are unique, so it does enough of the same while doing enough of its own and taking from new areas of inspiration as well, to where I just feel it's a really impressive showing, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it, definitely, because it's got some really good potential behind it. At least I think so.
Yeah, I would say this is definitely in my top 3 this year. I just didn't include it because I wanted to add variety. you already had it on the list, but I'm actually I probably like you were with Sonic when I was mesmerized, and I played this. So I was just looking at this. It really looks good. I love me some Sonic Rush. I do agree that there's work to be done in terms of level design. Some of the mechanics don't really work. They try to translate some of the bits from the 2D game into 3D, and sometimes that doesn't translate well. Most of the times they did a good job. And by the way, shout out to Garrulus64 for providing us with the footage, because I thought I had footage of this, but I didn't apparently. But it's very minor complaints, I have to say. It's like,
that's how I felt about it as well.
Pretty easily fixed or fixable in future updates. And considering they've been working on this for a while, I think they'll be able to like polish this up a little bit more and offer us something even better in the future. Yeah. So we now have like 2 stages, right, available from
Yeah,
in
from
two
this.
different releases though.
in 2 different releases.
I imagine there's got to
yeah.
be like big differences between the 2 versions, right? I never played the first one, so I couldn't tell you, but I assume there's like big control scheme and camera and like a whole bunch of differences. So it's not quite as simple as like, oh hey, you can drop the level in here and there's 2 levels.
Yeah.
It's going to be like an obvious gap between the 2 releases. I
maybe
imagine, 'cause
they
it's been
maybe
3 or
they
4
like
years.
worked on that as well. Maybe they polished up the initial one, but I'm not seeing them doing that and not releasing that other level as well.
Yeah,
with
that's
this
it.
one, so.
If it was weird to just stick the 1 in there, if the
Yeah.
other one's ready to go again. So I half wonder if they're redoing it or something like that, which would be
Probably.
very interesting to see.
Mhm.
But yeah, very strong foot forward, I thought. Even though it's a second release, it's so impressive and the scope it's going for. Can't wait.
Yeah,
One of the
yeah.
things that I really enjoy about this is like it looks like Sonic Rush, but it
Yeah, that's
clearly it looks much better than Sonic Rush, but it retains the same style, and it's like spot on. Yeah, amazing. Okay, any other comments regarding Sonic Rush 3D?
Yeah, I played this one as well, and I think the thing that kind of set it back for me a little bit was some of the controls are a little finicky. There's a section where you have to spring up to a very large platform, and I completely forget the Sonic Rush moveset has a double jump in it, and I couldn't get up there for the longest time because I completely forgot that was there, and that's the only way you can reach the top of that platform. And the other thing that really got on my nerves a bit was the sliding. Unfortunately, does not play well in this. There's a section where you have to go under a low ceiling, and
Yeah.
every single time I couldn't get the slide to work, and I ended up just sort of having to stop and use the spin dash instead. So I feel like
That
the
was a spin
sliding could be
dash.
tweaked ever so slightly.
was a
So
spin dash?
yeah, that was the thing. I was just a bit like little disappointed with some of the control sort of niggles there, but honestly, it is a really impressive development, and I do want to continue to see that in future releases because, yeah, it looks the part, like you all say. Like it is very much they've nailed the Rush look in a 3D space, and yeah, giving you a nice big widescreen layout instead of a boxy little 4:3 DS screen. So yeah, no, it's really well done in that regard. But yeah, it's definitely something about the control with it just didn't quite sit with me, unfortunately. My first playthrough, I don't know if you got ranked at the end of your first playthrough, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Did you also get an Eggman rank?
Yes.
Yes.
I was like, oh wow, I played that bad. So yeah,
I kept falling like that segment you mentioned, like you have to go under like a log
Yeah.
or something, and I think they expect us to time that perfectly, and not press anything else, not press the like not move the character anywhere. Because what happened with me was I probably wasn't timing it correctly, and I ended up moving either left or right and falling off the stage. So
yeah, for sure.
so I died multiple times there. But other than that, I think that's like the major flaw that I saw in that level.
It's a small complaint in the grand scheme.
Yeah,
of things.
yeah, yeah.
The development is still really impressive. It's just that,
And that's
I
one
would
of the
really
things
like
that
to enjoy
I think
the
they tried to translate something that was from in the 3D version of the game into 3D, and maybe like try something else. Maybe try not to. It's okay, but maybe try something that changes that a little bit and makes it better. Yeah, more enjoyable. Right, Sonic Rush 3D. We should actually do this every time, and we should actually give credit to people for their buy Sonic Rush 3D.
Okay.
Yeah, that's even on Twitter, they're Sonic Rush 3D, I think. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Sonic Rush 3D. So good job, Sonic Rush 3D, for your work on Sonic Rush 3D. Actually, they say the account is ran by Tameshi, Collidazed, and Luke Station.
Yeah, those are the three
Those
main
are the three
developers on this,
people
yeah.
behind this. Okay. Good job. So that's Viper's first pick. And moving on with Lime's first pick. This is a big one as well, Lime, right?
Yeah, indeed. I picked Free Skies for my first pick.
Don't do that. Okay. I was actually I had the other I had number one lined up. Okay.
Oh,
Of
oh,
course.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
of course,
oh,
of course. Yeah,
that's
of
what
course
you
you
thought.
had. Of course you had Free
Oh.
Skies. Of course, of course. No, it's okay. It's okay.
I was ranking it like from fourth to third, and then
sure,
like
Free
the top
Skies.
one
Of
is my
course,
Right,
Free
Lime?
Skies.
like
Of
my
course.
so like my number one is my number one. Like
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
how
just
I
like
thought about
just
it.
like Lewis's. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I got
yeah,
it
okay,
now. I
okay,
got
okay.
it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I didn't fully pay attention to who made it, but it says they're added by Free Skies, so I'm not sure if they have their own.
It's Free Skies, yes. Thank you,
Yeah,
Free
okay.
Skies, for your good work on Free Skies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's a game inspired by the Tony Hawk Jet Set. What happened?
No, it's a game.
What
Yes, it's definitely a game.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. There was more to the sentence. No, it's a game. Dot. There we go. Moving on. No. It's inspired
really
by
in-depth
Jet Set
reviews.
Radio, Tony Hawk, and Sonic. And yeah, like it's just like a very fun skater game where you can do like loads of awesome moves, and it's this kind of like a platforming merge with Jet Set Radio kind of a deal. Like we see here a tutorial, they just teach you the moves, then they take you to this hub area where there's a lot of story, and then there are like stages you can go to, and when you get to those stages, then I'm really starting to see the Jet Set Radio kind of inspiration, because what they do there is that they have you take electricity from this machine that is at a specific place in the stage, and then you need to and that electricity then disappears from you after a certain amount of time. And so during that time, you need to get to 3 or 4 different other stations to charge those stations with that electricity, and then you can move forward. So I can definitely see the Jet Set Radio inspiration from that kind of mechanic. Otherwise, it's just like very fun to do all of the awesome moves.
This looks really good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very fun. Like the only thing that I would wish for, at least when it comes to an expo, many things were locked behind story, and I love story. In this specific environment, though, I kind of just wanted to get to the gameplay to see what it was, because I don't have that time to invest in like a whole game and a whole story. So
Yeah.
I didn't really get to the point where I could really get to the good parts of the gameplay, really, unfortunately. But I can definitely see me having loads of fun with this game once I really learn all the moves and how they work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did any of you guys try this one as well? Lewis and Viper?
No, I didn't get a chance to play this one, and yeah, it looks like it controls really nice. I've got to say,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
from the footage,
Very fluid,
it looks
right?
yeah, really fluid. Doesn't seem to sort of like have that weird twitchiness that you'd expect. It's all the animations are really nice and smooth. No, I'd really like to give this a go. I think this looks extremely up my alley. But like Lime says, there was some stuff I played at Sage this year where I feel like maybe you don't put your best foot forward, right? Like, don't waste people's time with a demo, like with like all this preamble. Kind of get straight into the action, which is, yeah, I think that sometimes does these games a bit of a disservice by having so much like story content or things like that at the start of the demo. Like, I think you just need to jump into the action, right?
Yeah, indeed. With a hub world, I'd kind of just found myself go looking for the first stage, and then that's the stage that I had time to do.
Yeah, no, for
Unfortunately.
sure.
Mhm.
But once Sage Week is over, maybe I'll spend some time with this one and just like enjoy it for what it is. Because yeah, this very much looks like something I'd enjoy. I've got to say, like, as much as I do like Jet Set Radio, I do find the controls kind of stiff and awkward, whereas this looks nice and loose and fluid and
Yeah,
responsive.
Indeed.
So yeah, I'd really like to give this a go.
It's like more of a like the next generation of controls for Jet Set Radio, like more of like a Bomb Rush Cyberpunk kind of.
Yeah, for
as
sure.
well,
Even looks
right?
more fluid than that.
Even
looking
more,
at it.
yeah, for sure.
Which that game already controls well, but it looks like this just like really flows into, you know, like comboing tricks and stuff very nicely. Looking at live footage here, like, it just looks very natural, and free flying was the word that was used. I'm like, absolutely, like just yeah, I'm liking the look of this as well. Another one. You're going to be hearing it a lot. I've not played it, but watching the footage, right? Note this down. Getting to this tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
looks great.
this is triggering something in me. I'm watching this. I haven't played it either, but just watching this is giving me a lot of joy.
Yeah. It
And
is very,
Like
it is very,
the
very,
sense
very
of
fun. Like,
fun
some of
is
the
here.
moves I have really like, especially this. What's it called? U thingy. I
half
forget the word. Half pipe. There we go.
Yeah.
I did have trouble like really fully figuring out how it really works.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were just having fun.
Yeah, like there is something to that, and
somewhat stuck.
there was something I was trying to figure out. Like, okay, how does this really work? Like, there was something with that I didn't fully figure out, but you know that comes with time, that sort of thing.
So, but Resident SE was asking, who's this dodgy streamer that you're using for footage here?
Oh my gosh.
Twitch.tv/live reversed. Lewis was mentioning the lack of color would benefit from more color. I think it depends on the levels, right? So
Yeah.
it's, like this one, I really liked the look of this. That sewer section was a little bit more like less vibrant, but this looks really nice as well. I like the style as well.
Pipes.
Here I was thinking he was having fun with the half pipes, and he was just
But
stuck.
I was having fun
Okay,
too.
okay.
Like, don't take that away.
Not just having fun, you're also like trying to figure out the
stuff
controls.
out, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, excellent. So this was a good shout. Free Skies by Free Skies. By Ahmed T, Abdul Nosirum, Ana Villegas, Lee Hart, Macabra Azurin, Theobald the Bird, who is the world's best playtester, apparently. These are the credits on their game page. Okay. Thank you, Lime, for your first highlight. Or should I say last? It's number 4. Okay. Next up, myself. So I'm gonna. I had a hard time here because the games that I wanted to highlight were already on most people's lists. Like my top 3 probably was. You all had the games on your lists. So I went with I went with games that weren't on your lists to try to diversify a little bit. But I want to mention this: people are going crazy. Wait, let me just people are going crazy about this particular game online for some reason. Sonic UltraSaturn, which I do understand. Based on visuals alone. So this is a game that looks really, really good. Even this intro video, which is like part Sonic CD, part OVA, is really, really cool. But of course, we want to check out the levels themselves, and it really looks awesome. It's like the idea here is obviously, what if we had a 2D Sonic game on the Sega Saturn, like an original one? And also, what if the person playing it sucked at games? That's also what the
Perfect.
footage. Also, what the question that this footage answers as well. However, not just what if the person sucks at games, but also what if the level design is not as great as the visuals? Because what happens here is, and you can say it's lack of skill, which I would totally agree with, but also the placement of enemies, the placement of like bottomless pits and like traps is not the best in terms of like, you clearly expect us to just like speed up through a section of the level, and then something happens. You don't even
Case in point,
see
that.
exactly, something happens. I don't even know what I hit there. Maybe it was like one of the fireballs from that Batnik or something. And so it gets really confusing at times of what you're expected to do, what they expect you to do with the level design. If like this, I'm trying to gain momentum. If I just go a little bit to the right, I'll fall into that like lava pit. So those design decisions are something that baffles me a little bit. But I'm not going to take away from the amazing work done on this game. It like in terms of visuals, in terms of art style, it really looks amazing. Sonic looks amazing. The animations, the sprites. See. Why?
SD just had a stinger comment.
Not sure if it's fair that Dimps entered the game at Sage.
Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, it really looks good. I wanted to highlight as well, moving on from this, the 3D sections. So I'm just gonna try to. So this is a boss fight. So I spent a really long time figuring out how to beat this boss. There's no explanation and there is no real logic. So what you're supposed to do is somehow try to attract like Eggman's attacks in the direction of the stones or whatever these are, and they will reflect those attacks onto Eggman and hit. But this, I don't know how much time I spent like trying to figure that
7
out.
minutes.
No, because this, I think the 7 minutes come from the earlier part of the. Or maybe not, or maybe not.
Maybe for dramatic effect, it's far funnier to say that it took 7 minutes, right? 10 minutes.
No,
so
maybe
long.
you're right. No, yeah. It's part of the
I'm wrong.
stage. Yeah, it's part of the.
I'm so wrong.
Yeah. But it could be, because probably all in all, that happened at some point, like between 2 or 3 tries. So I don't want to take away from how amazing this looks, but really, this is something that I noticed, this year in some of the Sonic fan games that I tried. They looked good, or the concept was good, but they were lacking in terms of level design. Which I mean, there are fan games, so we can't be too harsh on the one person who's working on this, or like the 2 or 3 people who are working on this in their free time. But I do feel like most of these games would benefit from like some polish in terms of level design.
Yeah, and also, if I may add to that, the tutorial and what to do and how to use things, because I definitely felt like when they came to games, like I'm sure that like it seems like a very good idea on paper, the games that I were playing, but they didn't really communicate that to me in a way that I understood really what to do or what it was about or when to do what. Like there was this game that focused on like momentum based Sonic gameplay, which is like, oh hey, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, but then I don't know, like it might just be me who just didn't really get it, but I didn't really get the hang of it because I didn't like really get the hang of what to do or when to do what, or if what I did really worked or if I just got through the tutorial, not really understanding what I was doing, which is like, then I'm not really getting the point of the game, unfortunately. And yeah,
I also I didn't record it. So they have a lot of stages, a lot of zones already available.
I think this is a full game now.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think it's a
Really?
full game, so it's very impressive. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 zones in the full game. Special stages which I didn't record a footage of, but this is like the second zone, and it looks really good. It has elements from several other Sonic games, but they look good. They're well implemented in terms of like visual style. But then again, level design, and they went with something that will probably show up shortly, which is like that. Like it's the metallic madness, like bouncy,
the bouncy
parts.
floor. Yes,
the bouncy floor, and
Yippee.
which I didn't really enjoy in the original in Sonic CD, and here is even worse because I got lost at some point. I don't know where they expect me to go, and it is very confusing. There should be, in terms of like, if they ever get to work on like polishing this in terms of like adjusting level design and stuff, more alternate paths as well.
Oh,
It
wow,
looks
it really
like
is
they
dimps.
yeah, exactly. There's like a spring and some spikes. Yeah. So this is where things go to crap in this part of the level, because you're expected to go somewhere. Oh, this is where the footage stops.
You gave up. You closed the game.
I gave up. No, actually, I got past this, and there's like there's the snow level, which looks really good as well. But it's kind of frustrating that the game looks so good, and they really put a lot of love and effort into this, and then the level design doesn't keep up with all the technical aspects of the game. The 3D stages, like the boss fight that we just saw, the special stage which is something original. They look amazing, but you know, it's important to have good level design. I feel like if you're gonna present your like full game to the stage audience, maybe don't call it a full game yet. Let people like experience it, give you some feedback, and maybe come back next year with the full game, right, with like the adjustments. Take feedback like seriously and work on that. But this is really an amazing looking game, like a Saturn feeling game. I could see this actually being a Saturn game. This would feels like the next evolution of 2D Sonic. If we ever got a 2D game on the Saturn, this would be it probably. So good job, Unsonic Ryu, the developer of this. I don't know. Any other comments regarding this? I don't know. I don't want to sound negative, to be honest. It's a really, really good looking game. It's just the level design. Yeah.
I'll take on
the level design is an art. Like it's not really easy to make like a good level design. But yeah, there is like a specific art to make a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what you're trying to say is
I didn't try this game, so I don't have a comment about how the gameplay is. I'm just saying that it is difficult.
It's across the board. It's something that, like LiVE was saying, it's hard, right? And I don't want to be too hard on people who are doing this in their spare time and putting a lot of work into these games that really sometimes are just amazing.
I think we need to remind people that, like, when we criticize a video game, it's a fan game, any sort of indie project like this, is that it's not a case of we hate your game. We want it to be better. Exactly. It's just a case of a lot of these games are developed in isolation by a single developer an awful lot of the time, so they don't get a chance to have any sort of feedback. Mm-hmm. And that's what I try to offer with the Sega Driven channel in particular. Is like I would like to just give you some feedback, just some things I noticed that can be tweaked and potentially improve your game to be the best it can be. And I've played an older build of Sonic UltraSaturn, which I reviewed with Titan's Creed back in May, I think, this year, and it looks like certain things have been taken on board, but at the same time, it's one of those things where, yes, the stage design in this game is a particularly difficult thing to grasp. It does want you to sort of run backwards and forwards a lot, almost like a Knuckles Chaotic style stage. But I feel like they could improve the pathing through the stages so much easier if they just even added like trails of rings that sort of guide you in the direction it wants you to go.
Right.
Because a lot of the time you get into these large open spaces, especially in that stage with the springy floor, and it's just, where do I go? Where do I go? It's not clear. There's all these just random, like, sort of treadmills hanging around in the air, and there's no clear pathing as to where the stage wants to take you. And it would be just so simple, like maybe just having some springs that launch you in a certain direction. That's where you want to go next. Some, like I say, some lines of rings, like shape them like a big arrow if you want, like just stuff like
This
that.
way.
Simple things
lose
that
like
can improve the game.
the dead ends or something, like, because in this particular section, like you were saying, there's the bouncy floor, and then you have other sections of bouncy floor above, and maybe you think, okay, so if I go to the left and I go in the direction of that other bouncy floor, maybe that's the way. But then you get to a dead end. No, it's not this way. Let's go to the right. No, there are spikes and you can't move forward. So where should I go? Something to indicate, or lose the alternate dead ends, or indicate this is where you should go. Like, there's a reward here. Come here or something.
Because I'm not saying that going in different directions in a Sonic game is a bad thing. If anything, we should be trying to push people to get out of the mindset of pushing right all the time. I think that's a good thing. But at the same time, if you're going to do that where it doubles back on itself, or there's more verticality to the stage, then you do need to guide players. Otherwise, they're going to get lost, because the instinct with all Sonic games is push right, especially 2D ones. You're going right. The end of the stage is at the right. And in Sonic UltraSaturn, it is often not the case that is where the end of the stage is. Or if it is, the path there is a lot more convoluted. Yeah. So, it needs to have better signposting, I think, is the issue with Sonic UltraSaturn. But like you say, incredible looking game. I think there's something really good in there, but at the moment it's not quite gelling. And as a few other people have noted, I experienced myself, there is a bug with this game. It doesn't run particularly well on certain systems. I've seen in the comments on the page on Sage that this is due to them including a specific object that plagued early builds of Spark the Electric Jester as well.
The joypad object, I think. I read something about it.
If they can get that removed as well, it will improve the performance, because a game like this, a two-dimensional retro-style Sonic game, should not be dropping frames this heavily on certain systems, and it really does for me in particular, which is a shame, because, again, it doesn't put its best foot forward. You kind of need the performance to be there for a Sonic game, and it's not... I mean, depending on your build, you might be okay. I can clearly see that Casey's build is running that game quite nice, but for myself, wasn't having a great time, and for some other people as well, they're not also having not a great time with it.
I think they should actually they benefited, I think, from a lot of like free publicity from like Time Extension even promoted this, which is amazing for them, I would say. So maybe
Time Extension also promoted a vaporware console that's never going to come out. So
it's like the third time now, I swear.
No offense, Time Extension, but maybe stop promoting that Super Sega thing that's never
the Super Sega, but people. I think this got a lot more attention than some other games. So maybe
this by far got the most attention, which is really odd to me, because I don't think it's controversial to say this is far from what the best of this year's Sage has to offer. Yeah. I think there's a lot more impressive, honestly, than this. This feels like something very much that you could have seen in any Sage from like the last 10 years. Like, I feel like this could have come out in 2012 Sage, and I wouldn't be like, oh my goodness, this is groundbreaking compared to some of the stuff we're seeing, you know. But a Sonic game for the Saturn is still a nerve that a lot of people get touched all the time. You know, people still want to see that. So
absolutely,
it's probably maybe it's like
right?
It's for the clicks, maybe.
Yeah, it's like
for the Saturn audience.
There's like the theory of the reason a lot of people put their Dreamcast indie games on Dreamcast is because it gets free publicity for the PC version or whatever. It's that kind of thing. Oh, it's a Sonic styled, it's a Saturn styled Sonic game. Oh, like the one we never had. Quick, get that article out, you know. But yeah, we're not being too mean.
I do really appreciate the work put behind this one, and I do really wish that they can fix some of these issues, like work on the level design, and because technically it's a pretty good game.
All of these fan games deserve to be the best that they can be, and at the moment, this is not there. And like I say, it needs a little bit more time in the oven and some better signposting to help it play just a little bit nicer. And there's also that thing as well where it's like, isn't Sonic Mania just kind of what this is anyway?
Exactly. Yeah. That was the idea behind Sonic Mania as well, right?
I had that thought as well. I was like, is anybody else going to bring this up? So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, no, look, don't get me wrong. The appeal of a Saturn-style Sonic game is still very strong, and clearly that is something worth exploring. But I think at the moment, this isn't doing anything particularly unique that Sonic Mania has already done.
Yeah.
So maybe have a little back to the drawing board moment with this one, and maybe think about like how you could make this stand out a little, because at the moment, I feel like it's too similar to an existing game. And I will pass that criticism on something else later as well.
Okay.
And talking about game design, like overall, I feel it's important to reward the gamer for what you want the gamer to do, rather than what some games can do, like rather punish you for it. Like even Sonic Team has done this mistake where, you know, it's a Sonic game, you kind of want to go fast, but then they kind of put the spikes so then you get hurt because you weren't able to react to that because you were going fast. You know what you want to do in a game like that, and so you kind of get punished for it. And things like that is solved like really simply. Like instead of putting spikes on or an enemy so that you get hurt, you can put a spring there so you get bounced back or something. Like if you want to add something, like it's not as much of a punishment if you don't get hurt, just like thrown back, just like simple things like that, like reward the gamer for what you want them to do. Like, and if you want the gamer to explore, don't put dead ends, put some rewards into those dead ends in that case. If you want the gamer to explore, if you don't want them to explore, then, you know, just cut those dead ends out. Like,
it's a tale as old as time, isn't it? Like you get into that developer difficulty. Like a lot of old NES games are like that in particular, where they're just like so difficult because they were created in isolation with no testers, no feedback, and they get to a point where it's like the developer can play them really well, but then when the regular public has to play them, it's like, how on earth am I supposed to cope with the difficulty? And I feel like Sonic UltraSaturn has a very similar thing. It's been created in isolation by one person, and they haven't had that feedback. They haven't had testers involved in the process to say, maybe this is a little unfair, you know, tweak that and make the stage flow a little nicer, you know. Like you say, reward exploration.
Hopefully this is the motivation, gives them the motivation they need to actually work on that a little bit longer and come back stronger with a more polished product next year or something. Hopefully.
Indeed. We aren't trashing any games, we're trying to lift them up. That's what this is about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Except for Viper. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Why?
I was just looking at his face like...
He hadn't said anything, so clearly he's brewing here.
He's not here to lift anyone up.
See, what I'm more thinking is that we're a quarter of the way through this list and we're an hour in, so I'm looking forward to the long haul here.
That's a good segue. That's a good segue.
It's fine. I'll zip through this one. Don't you worry about it.
There we go. So next up, Lewis.
Yeah, so this is my number 3, Casey, not my number 2. All right? Yeah, get this correct.
Yeah. So
okay,
I'm
cool.
right? Yeah.
Here we go. TechPack Collection. Yeah. Right. Okay. This is an indie game. I love this. This is very unique in that it is riffing on an awful lot of old school 80s Namco arcade games, things like Mappy, things like Pac-Land, and yeah, it's 5 mini games in one. They're all developed like old school 80s arcade games that never existed. So it's got a bit of that sort of retro game challenge thing, like on the DS, or the upcoming UFO 50 on PC, where they're very much supposed to evoke a style and feeling of a game of yesteryear, but it is an entirely newly developed game. But yeah, there's 5 games in here. Just really, really well created. They do feel genuine. They do feel like old classic 80s Namco arcade games. But yeah, they're just really well developed. And Namco nostalgia is something that doesn't really hit the mainstream too heavily in a strange way. Like, I know that obviously Pac-Man has its fans, and that seems to be the thing that Namco really riff on quite a lot. But stuff like Gallagher and Pac-Land and like I say, Mappy and things like that are just maybe not given as much time in the sun. And this game really seems to like evoke a lot of that classic Namco energy. Yeah, I was really, really impressed with this. I think it's a cool little idea, and I like the fact that they went for an original indie idea as well, because they are actually going to sell this on Steam as well. This game in particular, the TechPack Adventure, which is a lot more like Pac-Land, but you've got this sort of like fast running, you can run up walls and things like that. It's just a really, really well developed game, and the fact that it's only one game in a collection of 5, like that's crazy. Like, very generous offering with this one, and I think if you haven't given this one a go, I would highly recommend it, because it's just different. You don't see much Namco nostalgia out there, and I was really impressed to see something like this really celebrating that old school Namco arcade energy, but doing something new and indie, so it can be sold as its own individual product and not as a fan game.
Mm-hmm. If I was being honest, this would have been my number 4, actually.
Oh yeah,
this is right up my alley. Yeah, for sure.
There you go.
Sure. I actually, when I saw this, because I was trying to looking at games to try, and this one caught my eye because I said, "Oh, is this like something based off real games from the past that I don't know about?" And when I saw that this was like all fan made, but looked so like genuine, looked like so much like the classic arcadey type games. This is amazing. Yeah, this is really up my alley. Sega Driven is not included in the game, unfortunately. You can watch the video on their YouTube channel.
Sega Driven sold separately.
Yeah, exactly. Batteries included, but not Sega Driven. So TechPack Collection, definitely something to check out. Really enjoyed this one as well. Like Lewis was saying, not this Lewis, but the Dreamcast Junkyard Lewis. Ooh, looks neat.
Good stuff. Check it out if you like the look of it, because I think you'll be highly rewarded.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, excellent. So that's Lewis's number 2/3. Coming up next, I don't know. Now I'm scared. Is it your number 2? Your number 3, Viper?
Let's go with number 3. No, let's not. Let's go with number 2. Let's keep it easy. And I say easy because, to be honest, I put this at number 2 because I hoped I'd speak about it after Lime, but we'll go with it anyway.
So I'm gonna go with this. So Lime will probably be able to. We'll probably be able to pitch in a little bit as well.
Me?
Yeah. So is this the one?
That's the game.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Oh, another dodgy stream clip. Great. I'm gonna talk about this now.
Wow. My gosh.
So the reason I wanted to talk about this after Liam is because I very much know he's a man who's gone through a lot with this the original game recently, and maybe doesn't have the highest opinions of it. Whereas I think Lewis said the same thing in the pre-show as well. Whereas I'm a masochist at this point. I really enjoy the storybook games. I mean, you can kind of see behind me somewhat the zoom, Casey. The zoom's all wrong. You can see the Black Knight poster behind me. There you go.
There you go.
There it is. I'm a pretty big fan of these games, even if they don't always nail the landing. I really appreciate the world building and the story in particular, as well as the music's a big part of Secret Rings for me. But I've this real big soft spot for this game, even if it's mainly the controls that let it down to me, honestly. So Project Reignition is hey, here's your one complaint with the game. Boom. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't take it to a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 game or anything, but it's a bit of dumb fun being able to actually play it with a control stick. A full finished version of this would just be so much a piece of me. I love Secret Rings for all its flaws, so it absolutely scratches the right itches. It plays 100% like Secret Rings already, which is so surprising given how not very far in development at all it is. I feel like this only popped up a few months ago. I feel like it was the first time I saw this, so to see it already at this state, I don't know if we'll see it in LiVE's footage, but not only is Sand Ocean recreated, which was what they were showing off on all of Twitter and other social medias, but Dino Jungle is also finished as well, which is, there you go. Yeah. Which was a huge surprise to me. I did not expect to see that in the trailer, or let alone the game, so, I was surprised. It really just is Secret Rings with better controls. Don't get me wrong, there's still some slight issues with the
it's
controls.
It's still a bit on rails as well, and
auto
run a bit.
Yeah, but a little less so, because you can there's a power up that you get that makes you auto run. So you don't even auto run from the start like you do in the game. So that way it's less of on rails. Now it's a little bit more if you hold forward, then you walk forward, which gives you a little bit more control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely taking the safety rails off a little bit, but inherently that's still part of the game design. There's only so much you can do, but I think my main issue with the controls came down to the lack of intuitiveness, but I really can't blame
the source,
the frustration.
I just can't blame that on the developer, because it's you have the same problem if you, for example, map it to a controller in Dolphin, It's I didn't realize we saw it earlier. Lime, stop distracting me.
It's past Lime, I can't help it.
But we saw in Lime's footage earlier him the pot going upwards. That's a sentence I never thought I would use. But,
the flying pot with wings.
Yeah.
Of course.
You shake the Wii remote in the original, and the tilt of the Wii remote determines so if you're tilting the Wii remote more left facing, it will go left. To do that in this, you just spam the B button, which I never would have guessed in a million years it was the B button. So first time I encountered one, I was pressing everything. I was pressing all the triggers and everything. I was like, what on earth makes this go up? The jump button's not doing it. It's the B button. Because, of course it is. But, yeah, there's always going to be problems like that when faithfully recreating a game like this. Why is Lime so long at this dinosaur?
I don't know.
I was inspecting the dinosaur, all the details.
Wow, that's a high
very unsanitary.
There was so many details on it that this looks awesome.
I thought you were just appreciating the really noisy, loud clipping it did to the audio in that section.
Speaking about the pot, that's one of the major things that I feel like they fixed in this version. I feel like it's so much more controllable. It reacts so much better to press that button, and also moving from side to side, you are in so much more control in this version, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's just the little improvements, because as I say, this is a comfort food kind of game. I'll sit there and rage at a boss fight for 3 hours, and then I'll be like, oh, but the dinosaur jungle level, the music, right? It's just, I know it's not a good game, but yeah, I just get something out of it. So to actually experience it in this way, it's it's still not perfect. It's never gonna be, but this is
but they fixed so much. I really just thought that there was Yeah, I really just thought that this was going to be a remaster, and they nailed that. It looks awesome.
I didn't
But
even know
it's
this
not.
boss was here.
Yeah,
Just
but
straight up.
like it's not only that, like they fixed a lot of issues, like one with the controls that we already discussed, but other issues with camera angles. There were definitely parts, as I have this fresh in my memory because I very recently 100% the original version. There were I got to parts where I earlier had so much trouble in the original, just like knowing where I was and seeing where the enemy was, because the camera was just so
Cinematic almost.
not good. But here in those very places, they just like took the camera back and had me have me see everything at the same time. And I was like, yes, thank you, you fixed even that, like details like that like small things that make a major difference, that just makes this game a lot more fun to play through.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Like as I'm trying to get across, but I don't know how well I'm getting it across. If you don't like it already, like don't get me wrong, it's not transforming it into this whole different thing, because as a game, you're never gonna escape that sort of on rails control scheme, very guided experience, because the entire
It had
thing's
to
built
be
around
remade
that.
from the ground up for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Then
sorry.
you're
Here,
losing
here.
part of it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that here, when you go through the menu, they like you can collapse and expand power ups here. Like you have like one where it says speed up, and then you can expand that, and then there's all of the power ups that has to do with speed up, like all in one place in that menu. Earlier, you needed to like scroll through the whole list and look for like that very particular speed up power up that you wanted. That could be anywhere in the list, but here they sorted everything
Okay.
together.
They like group them together.
They grouped them together, yes. Which that's also one of the surprises that I'm like, yes, thank you. This is so much better.
Like
Yeah.
another thing I know Lime will love is I noticed in that footage there, when you went to jump off that really long slope, you didn't slide for about 5 years beforehand. You just pressed jump and you jumped. It's great. So many times in the original, like you have to brace for jump. He comes to a full stop, and it's like, oh no, he just slides off the edge of the pier, because that's just how this game works. There's just like so many little fixes like that, but yeah, it's never going to make it a perfect game if you didn't already enjoy parts of it anyway. But as a like complete or a reignition, quite literally, or a reimagining, however you want to put it, it just lights so much life back into this game. And it's like, oh, there is a good game under here. It's not a great game, but there is a good game under here still, nonetheless. I think that's the key for me. And not only that, it's, you could say it a million times over, it's going to be my theme for a lot of these. Very impressive. Like, just the visual detail, the quality of it, the controls, how this has all come together, and what I feel like must have been a pretty short period of time from what we've seen publicly. It's just, how is this only, a small group of people, if only? I don't know how many people worked on this. It could only be one person. We didn't do the shout out thing again ahead of this, but like, this is just already like, they're aiming for heights bigger than an official well-paid, I don't know about well-paid, but dev team, in that environment. And a Bacon, it's just mad to me that they've already shown just what they're capable of with this little demo here. I love it, and I'm
Kuma
sure
pause. Like
there
pause. Kuma pause.
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 I'm sure we'll end
like
up talking about it again, but it's great.
It
Love
really goes to show you how huge of a difference execution and quality does for a game. Because like this really shows that this didn't like this was a game that was really so much better than the original. Like the original could have been so much better just by
It's just like what LiVE said.
fixing
there's
small things.
What Viper said, sorry. There's a good game underneath here, right?
Yes,
if you fix some of the issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it and my point is, it takes really so little really to really get that good game out. Like it's in the details. It's in like doing those small fixes like camera angles and controls and things like that.
Yeah.
It's does a huge difference.
I will say I have one complaint, and that is that the egg mission is not in Dinosaur Jungle. I really want to watch Lime play the egg mission in this stage. I'm so sad.
Why specifically me?
Did you not get stuck on... I mean, I didn't watch your playthrough, unfortunately, but surely you got stuck on the egg mission in this stage for like 5 hours like the rest of us, right?
Me?
You're a great gamer, but...
He's a pro player.
The reason why I'm asking is that is definitely one of my least favorite missions. Like,
and I don't think it's here, to my knowledge, right? That's why I bring it up.
Yeah, like no, like there is an egg mission where you're supposed to destroy the eggs, but not the one that I think you're talking about. Where
Yeah,
you're supposed
the one where you have to
find the
collect
eggs and
the
put them in the nests. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Are you proud? Are you like, I don't know. This is the end of the footage. It ends like this.
This is where it ends.
No.
Yes.
This is where I'm talking about the camera angle. This is me going like, my gosh, they fixed this part. I remember this being a problem. I couldn't see the enemies because the camera was like all over the place. But here they fixed that. It was so much easier to get through that part now.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about this. I think you said it all. I tried this, I played this, enjoyed it, and it's like it surprised me. I do have a soft spot for Sonic and the Secret Rings more than Black Knight, which I believe is the better game. But I do. I don't know if that says much about the game or not. But I think Black Knight is slightly better. Maybe no.
Oh, it's definitely better. I don't know. I don't know if I'm liking these opinions. I don't know if I'm liking Lime's face right now.
But it's still fresh. It's still fresh. It's a fresh wound. I know.
I can say this. On paper, the game is absolutely amazing. It is very much fun. Playing through the story.
I'm sorry.
Yes, it is very fun to like, especially when you do the move where you do the homing attack and just slash through several enemies at the same time. So satisfying to do. 100%ing the game is the worst gaming experience that I've ever had, and I am not even exaggerating when I'm saying this.
I felt
like my very soul.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
That's on you.
That's suffocating.
You're not supposed to do that.
When I played through the game and trying to 100%
it. This is what confuses me here.
Just oh my!
Remember that you did that to yourself.
Horrible. Yes, I know, but that doesn't take away that experience is something that they made for people like me. Like they didn't have to artificially prolong the game, but just having you repeat the same stage over and over and over again 10 times in order to get all the follows. There's just like for each stage as well. No, please stop. It is a horrible experience. I was suffocating.
Okay, so we're getting sidetracked. I feel your pain. We're going to talk about this some other time. So I was just going to mention that I do have some nostalgia for Secret Rings, more so than Black Knight. And I was surprised by how much the game improves just by letting you use button controls instead of like shaking a Wiimote. And I appreciate that. So that was also on my like original list, but I didn't want to overlap with you guys. But thank you for sharing this. Did you play this, Lewis?
I did. It was on my original list as well, actually, for a little while. I do think this is a really impressive development. I think it's incredible what they've achieved. Even though I think it's very generous what they've put together here as well. For a first demo, there's 2 full stages. Pretty much the entire mission list for both stages, although, like you're saying about Dinosaur Jungle, I don't think that one's complete. But yeah, there's a lot of game to experience here. I think it's a little funny when you first play it. It seems to stutter quite a bit, but once you
Yeah.
really play stages after that first run through, it seems to iron itself out a little bit. I know that they did release a bug fix during the week as well, so it might be worth re-downloading this one to see if it's a little bit better now. So yeah, I haven't actually gone back to the bug fixed down update yet. But yeah, this is an incredible development. When I first playing it, I thought like, wow, this is really well done. Like it feels emulated almost. Like all the scripted sequences are perfectly animated. I don't know how they've managed to secure all the assets and stuff. I don't know if they've like worked a decompilation of the original Sonic and the Secret Rings to get all that stuff. But yeah, I think the big thing with this one, and we should probably mention this, is that I think this being ported to HD displays with high definition textures and stuff like that really does the original art a massive service, because the original version on Wii, it's a great looking game, don't get me wrong. I still think actually of the two Sonic games that came out the year it was released, this and 06, this is the better looking game still. But now it looks stunning. Like this is really it just the whole like visual package has just done a great service now by being able to display it in full HD with HD textures. It looks excellent. Oh, the lighting's really nice now as well. Yeah, no, that's where this really, really shines. I think it looks incredible now. It looks like a proper next gen Sonic, but yeah, it's just
For sure.
it's just upscaled those assets. It's incredible how well that can work. So yeah.
I was trying to get to because I really wanted to see Night Palace, and at first I didn't realize that all the stages weren't there.
Looking amazing, yeah.
But I so want to see this version of that.
For sure. So keep them coming. Whatever. Akuma pause.
Oh, and also like whoever did that, please do Sonic and the Black Knight and give me that amazing experience that I've been longing for.
It doesn't need
That's the
it.
best pun I could come up with.
It's already a perfect game.
Oh, no. The homing attack doesn't even work in the legacy stages. I have footage. It is
same off again.
We're getting sidetracked, but there's a reason why I have a YouTube channel up on that is called I'm Yell at the Game for an hour.
We'll be right back after this. After a word from our sponsors. So Project Reignition deserved more time in the spotlight because both of you, Lime and Viper, added that to your list. Lime, it was your number one. So,
yep.
And we already covered that. So, spoilers. Okay, moving on. Lime, your number 3 in this case is RoboGal, right?
Yes.
Want to tell us a little bit about that?
It's a Mega Man inspired game. So, what?
Thank you. Moving on? No.
No. But it's this inspired me very, very much. Like I saw that in this game, it's basically like a regular Mega Man game, but with added stuff. Like you can ricochet your bullets off of platforms and enemies, and then different things will happen. And even the enemies can do that. So an enemy might shoot to the left, but then it bounces around in a way that it will still hit you, and you need to try to see that pattern if you don't want to get hit. And I felt like that was such a welcome addition to the formula that I just needed to try it out. It was very inspiring. I really love it when they just add things like this that is like when you see it, it's like, why didn't anyone else think of this? Like this very much fits the formula. And I get inspired by that, and I want to play it, and so I did. And it was very much fun to play. It's a really interesting take on Mega Man.
They
Sorry,
describe
you wanted to, someone wanted to say something?
I was going to say they describe this on Twitter as a cute jump and shoot game.
Yeah.
So they're Twinkle Soft, a team of 2 people from Brazil. working on this. It looks really cute indeed. Does it play
It
well as
is.
well? I didn't play
It
this.
plays very well. It controls very well. It's very tight when it comes to controls. It's like I really have no complaints. Like the difficulty is what you would expect from an early Mega Man game as well, which puts the challenge there. Like here, you can really see like how enemies just like ricocheting things
fun.
off of, and I can do that as well to shoot back, and it's very much fun to play around with.
That's
Really
cool.
smart.
That's very unique.
Yeah, really smart.
The bosses are very well designed as well. I didn't actually beat the boss, but it's still.
Do we have
They were
footage
well
from a
designed.
boss?
Yeah, like very late.
Maybe here. Is it the car? No.
Yeah, no. But it is on a bouncy stage. Here we get to a boss.
Okay. Wow, woof. A new person to play with. There's cutscenes as well. So how
Yeah.
long is this demo, by the way?
It's 2 stages. So it's
It's
this
for that.
and another stage. So it's not that long yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do in the future with this.
Okay. Yeah. It's supposed to be to have 6 stages. And the demo contains 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Solar Energy Garden and Toy Planetary. And 2 bosses as well. So I was trying to see if they would shut up so we could see that. Okay. There
Well,
we
this
go.
really is Mega Man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's like
So-
there's this like specific pattern to it that you need to figure out, and it's very like obvious. Like, okay, yeah, I just need to figure out what the
And you
pattern
die
is.
like Mega Man 2 and respawn
Yeah.
like Mega Man 2.
Indeed.
And charge
Indeed.
like Mega Man.
And charge
slide
like
Mega Man.
Yeah, and you
And
enter
your
a boss like Mega
energy
Man.
gauge, like your life bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hang on a minute. This feels quite similar now that you mention it.
Yeah. Probably something to consider as well, right? Trying to make the little details a little bit different and more unique instead of just like straight copying. But I do like the look of the game, the look and the feel of the game.
The ricocheting bullet seems like a really.
That's
unique
very
mechanic, I
smart.
think, that-
Yeah,
the-
indeed.
the
Like
point
I appreciate like you can take an existing formula like this, as long as you add something new to it, like that. I very much appreciated that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they ain't making any new Mega Man games anytime soon, are they?
It's free real estate.
I was, I guess, a little bit confused about seeing a Mega Man game on a Sonic Amateur Game Expo. Like, I'm not sure
Sage
where
is-
the line is drawn when it comes to what games get there.
Sage has always
Yeah.
been very open to indie games and other fan games from different franchises, and I think that's good. I think it's important to be welcoming because, I mean, you know, it's what's the phrase? Right? It's like all ships, right? The rising tide.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, right? Like it's worth it's worth having everybody under one banner because at this point, just celebrating Sonic fan games, I think is all well and good, but at the same time, I think we do need to be pushing developers to make independent projects and your original games because that's surely the end goal, right? A fan game should always be your first attempt at coding, something that gets you used to making things, and then you move on to a project which is original, where you can actually sell it and actually be reimbursed for all the hard work you're doing. Because as a fan game, you can't actually do that. You know, you can't sell other people's IP. So yeah, I just think it is the natural evolution, you know, fan game to indie game. So I'm glad that the scope of the show is always welcoming to everybody. I know, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think people really think of Sage as the Sonic Amateur Games Expo anymore. I think people call it Sage and just assume
for
that's
sure.
just an indie game.
I mean, I
you know.
absolutely agree with everything you just said. I guess like the confusion was just like in the name, and I started thinking about, okay, where is the limit drawn, and then why is it still called what it's called? Like,
Yeah.
I do think that, yeah, I mean, sure, like have it grow into something that is not just Sonic. That is absolutely awesome. Like the more the merrier. Maybe it's time to think about changing the name in that case.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is why they just call it Sage.
It's
now.
Sage.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say,
Sage.
well,
It's
it
like a
doesn't-
well-established brand at this point, so
Yeah,
people
it's
know.
a bit
Even like as you saw, some people use this to promote the games that they're selling commercially on Steam. So it's pretty
And
much
you
a
gotta think as well,
well-established
like-
event.
They can keep Sage Super Amateur Game Expo.
People are not just amateurs; they are super amateurs. So
Yeah.
don't expect much.
Yeah, maybe do people enjoy the service.
Okay, so that's RoboGal. Sage is the new MTV, says Resident SD, and also hello to Rafsig, who just joined us.
Hello.
Okay, so up next is one of mine. So let me preface this by saying this is Fearless, the year of Shadow the Hedgehog. So we had a couple of like Shadow inclusive projects this year. This one is one that I enjoyed my time with, Sonic Weaving in Time. So this is like a very interesting project with, again, Sonic Advance, Sonic Battle, like visuals. This is the tutorial area. Don't worry. I'm struggling because keyboard controls again are not my forte. I don't know if they had. I can't remember for this one if they have controller the controller option enabled or not, or if they had controller option but I wasn't able to like get my controller to work or map it correctly, or something happened. So I had to play using my keyboard, and so again, as per usual, I struggled a little bit with it, but it controls really well despite me using the controller here. I remember at some point I start using a controller. I was able to get my controller to work at some point, I think. Not here, but later. Text one appears a lot. Yeah, but this is the like the tutorial stage, and you have like the Shadow tutorial as well. They have different special moves. Let me just move onwards a little bit, like. And this is the actual game, the actual zones in the game.
Oh, is that
Sorry?
motion blur?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of motion blur.
A lot of motion blur. So it controls really well. It looks like a very boost-focused game. It's probably like the best way to describe this is what if Sonic Advance was like a boost-heavy game, was like a modern boost-heavy Sonic game. So it kind of
It's like
reminds
Sonic
me
Rush, safety.
exactly. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Sonic Rush as well, including the fact that sometimes you're boosting, and then you run into like your boost meter runs out, your power meter in this case runs out, and then you hit a badnik, and you lose rings. You get hit a little bit like in Sonic Rush. So get good. That's what I.
That's the moral of this story.
But you actually learn to expect these things at some point. Probably my biggest complaint here, again, level design in some ways, but it doesn't really control that bad. Even using the keyboard, I was able to see what I mean. You're like moving forward, and there are some badniks, but you're expected to go fast. And okay, but I think they need to work on like the bottomless pits as well. You're expected to do some trick jumps when you get to a ramp. There are like those speed ramps. You're expected to press one of the buttons and like do some tricks, and those tricks boost you forward. Which is something that you learn after you die a couple of times, like I did, or not, and keep dying. So,
a couple
that's
or 5.
There we go. I learned. See,
There we go.
I learned.
You shouldn't be putting pitfalls in your first stage. I think that's a bit of a yeah.
Never a good start.
That's a very important lesson that no one learns. Yeah. But I don't think I recorded shadow footage here. No.
Oh,
Just the
about
hub,
2
just the
minutes
hub
worth.
area,
Oh,
just the
yeah,
hub
okay.
area. No, because the first few stages are Sonic stages, and only after completing, I think, the three first stages, you get to the shadow parts, which I didn't record. You get a store as well. You get buy some skills as well with the points that you like the experience points that you collect throughout the game, and you can enable or disable the skills, so you get like some rewards, some boosts in your game, like a shield or like you get an extra boost whenever you have like those trick ramps. So you can play with that a little bit as well. Yeah, so just wanted to mention this because I really love the advance / battle style of like graphics and like the sprite work. Shadow looks really good, by the way, controls well. So I'm definitely interested in seeing what they like can do with this. Again, work on the level design a little bit more. But so JM Reborn, but this is one that I had a good time with. So I wanted to shout it out as well. I think that's the point here. These are enjoyable demos. They can do with some work, obviously, but if they're enjoyable, yeah, that's you're doing something right. So keep it up. Yeah, and there's a lot of content in this demo as well. There's like I think 14 stages already.
Whoa.
Wow, okay.
So it's like
Wow.
I didn't complete the game, but I think even the demo has like already 14 stages, and you can collect the 7 Chaos Emeralds and collect the red rings as well, the red star rings. So it's a really thorough demo. So
Sounds close to completion then. Wow, okay.
yeah, probably. So if
Maybe.
the idea is to get some feedback to make the final product better, good job, JM Reborn. Yes, JM Reborn. Yeah, that's the idea. Okay, excellent. So we're halfway through. Let's like just speed it up a little bit. So Lewis, back to you.
Cool. Okay. So my number 2 pick then is Sonic Gamebook Origins.
Of course it is.
And
Right, I'm curious
Yeah.
about this one.
Of course it is.
So yeah, this basically recreates one of the UK Sonic Adventure game books that was released in the early 90s, one called Sonic v Sonic, and it basically turns it into a full sort of text adventure, essentially. You don't have to keep a pen and paper handy to keep track of your stats or the objects you collect throughout the game. It's all tracked within the actual digital game itself now. The presentations are lovely. I like the fact that as you sort of move around between scenes, the music changes to be more thematic to what area you're in. It will also highlight paths you've already taken so that you can always kind of be moving into areas that you haven't. So you may see at the bottom of the screen there's sort of white buttons that will take you to the next area, but if you've already been to an area, it will be yellow instead, so that you can focus on moving forward, which is a nice touch, so you don't just get like lost in the there are certain areas in this where it's like a maze, and you're always navigating between different parts, and you kind of double back on yourself a bit. So that really helps to keep you, moving in the right direction. I know this isn't going to be for everyone. This is extremely niche. This is extremely UK as well. But I think it's just fantastic preservation work. I've always loved to champion that sort of stuff. I'm trying to think like what it was last year.
The McDonald's thing.
The McDonald's LCD games again.
Yes.
Like extremely niche, probably doesn't have very wide appeal, but I'm just so happy that someone is going to the efforts. And I mean, this is a fully playable, text adventure now, and I think that's just wonderful. Like and maybe I'm doing it a disservice because obviously the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog was another sort of like graphic adventure that took the Sonic formula that people were really into, and that was very popular. So I think maybe this could have an appeal to that sort of audience as well, because it's definitely that, in a similar sort of vein, maybe not so heavily on the graphics. It's a lot more focused on actually reading the story, but yeah, the original books themselves are really fun little reads, and it's lovely that they're now sort of encapsulated and archived and preserved within this sort of like digital framework now. Like I say, it's only one of the books. There are another 5. I would love to see this further developed so that they're all included, because that would be an incredible effort. But again, the amount of work that probably just went into this one book and having it functioning this way was probably a lot of work. So yeah, we'll see if development on this one continues. But I think as it stands, really unique game, just a lovely piece of preservation work, and just makes it accessible by more people. Those books, I think, were only ever released by Fantail in the UK. If there are versions, they're probably only mainland Europe, translated into things like Spanish, French,
Probably Portuguese as well.
Yeah, I don't think it ever got to the US.
There's like a compilation book, I think, released here.
Okay.
I never got it, but I do think I talked to someone who said they had this.
That's fair. But again, it widens the scope, right? Like now more people can experience this. If you've never had access to them or never wanted to import them from the UK because import duty and all that, now you can at least experience one of the books completely, in a much more comfortable fashion now that you've got like full digital, access to your stats and objects, and don't have to keep using a pen and paper to keep track of that sort of thing like you do with the original thing. You also had to roll a dice with the original book as well. So that's all encapsulated within the framework of the game as well. Just again, huge love to the Sonic fan base for like archiving stuff like this. It's so niche, so like hyper focused in its scope, and they're doing remakes of adventure game books from the UK. Like that's crazy, absolutely nuts effort.
When I saw this, I glanced over it and I saw this is a Lewis game. I know he's going to bring this up for sure.
I said this last year with McDonald's.
Yeah, for sure. I've genuinely considered like setting up a downwards facing camera with the book open and streaming like the book at some point, with my pen and paper on the side, so you could keep track of how I'm playing. But now you can do it with a bit of software instead. So
there you go.
That's incredible, Again, I don't think this will appeal to everybody, but I just think that it's such a really interesting and niche development and a great piece of archival work as well. So hats off to the developer. I think you've done an incredible piece of work here, and I'd love to see more of the books get this sort of treatment as well. But I do appreciate that's a lot of work. So yeah.
Hats off to the Power Player.
The Power Player.
Aptly named the Power Player. The Power Player, next step, the other books, and then localize everything into different languages. Get a bigger team. Get a bigger team.
Just a small feat, chop chop.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that's Sonic Gamebook Origins by the Power Player. Well done. Thank you, Lewis.
No worries.
Up next, Vipers number 3. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. There's nothing else that can be apart from number 3, right? I'm not gonna be random and throw in the 4th.
No. And I'm just gonna start the footage immediately because I know it's this.
Just in case I change my mind, start the film. There we go. So I believe from memory, this was a game I talked about last year. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
If not, we definitely spoke about it at some point. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what the differences are for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's the addition of new zones. I don't recall them being in there last year. If they were, I have no memory of them. So this was my first time playing through Starlight Carnival and Sweet Mountain. And something you're going to notice in the footage is I still think it's a little slippery in areas, especially like some precision. There's like some precision platforming bits, which Sonic just slides all over the place. But I think this is the same engine from Sonic Weaving in Time that Casey just was showing off. So I don't think that's necessarily the developer's problem as much as maybe the framework they're using. But I think it's a really impressive effort. I don't think everything lands, but I think with with what it seems like they've done in the last year, it feels like a huge improvement over what we had. And I'm just a sucker for Sonic Colors anyway. I remember a project like this, possibly like all the way back in Sage 2014. I might have said this last time as well. I feel like there was a similar Colors demake back then, and it feels like a huge improvement over that one, certainly for sure. Way to way to skip forward to that bit of the footage, Casey. Thank you, but
You're welcome.
I don't know.
You're welcome.
There's a certain charm to this. It's not just like they translated Colors DS to the full screen. It's got its own ideas and methods of
So
doing
that's what
things.
I wanted to ask for sure. Like, what is this doing that Sonic Colors DS hasn't already done?
In terms of like its own unique concept, not much, but in terms of like level design, gimmicks, and how the stages play out, it's completely different. Like, this is all original level design. I think there's a variant of this glider in the DS version. You can tell they're very clearly placeholder platforms, by the way. I get stuck here for a while as well, so you might as well just leave my suffering on this part of the
Oh, no,
here.
please do continue. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, it's great. I think I get stuck here for about another minute. But no, there's just a lot of content here for what I was expecting. I was still expecting it to be a Tropical Resort only demo, so I was a little surprised that there was all this other stuff and these wisps to play with as well. And it's just a fresh twist on Colors, which is, as it goes on, like I don't mean to alarm people, but we're nearly 15 years on from Sonic Colors now. It's definitely a game that I think people are not looking back on as fondly as they were only a couple years after release. So I think throwing these unique ideas at the wall, and I've heard the growing sentiment that people definitely prefer the DS version over the Wii version, which I think's wrong, but it's fine. We're allowed to have these sorts of opinions. But if you think then why not try and work with that and see what you can apply and take the best of both worlds? And I think that's really what you're getting here. Is you're getting a mix of ideas from those sources as well as from the Rush games in general and other modern Sonic games, but also mainly just 2D platforming. It's an interesting take to not be confined to the need to do the two screens thing. I think that's a lot of what makes up Colors DS is, hey, look, we still have two screens. Yeah, well, it's 2010. The 3DS is out in like 4 months or whatever. We got this gimmick back in 2005. So it feels like that game can get a little constrained by that point. So you remove that, just give it a nice normal 16:9 window and go, hey, have fun with the level design. And I think the level design is mainly what stands out, minus like there's a lot of, not a lot of, but there's certainly a little bit of stop-start. Like right here, there's an auto-scroller and there's a couple other instances where you wait for platforms and stuff. So
because they're going more for they're trying to do the Wii thing here. The
Wii game definitely does a lot of this. Yeah. So I think it makes sense. I think it's within character. Those
floating sections, the hovering
and the ones
sections.
With the springs. There was like entire stages that were auto scrollers practically. So it's not out of character. It's just not what I'd like to see personally. But I don't know. I couldn't really put into words, and I didn't want to spend too long on this, and yet I have, because I already talked about it last year. But I don't know. It just hit the right buttons for me, I think. Even though you could argue it's redundant because it's trying to do what Colors DS did already, I think it's vastly different enough to where it stands on its own 2 feet. So looking forward to seeing more of this and the engine it's based on, since it's clearly powering more projects. And it feels like a really solid base for 2D boost games. So hopefully those minor complaints with the twitchiness of controls can be ironed out, because that was really my only issue, and that's not exclusive to this game seemingly, so I can't really blame the devs for that at all. I'd fully expected to bring that up as a problem exclusive to this game coming into it, and then I saw that footage of weaving in time. So actually, I'm not going to be as harsh on it, because that's not this game's problem.
Weaving in time has like as many, at least the parts that I played, as many like sections of like precise platforming. So that's probably not an issue that affects that game as much.
It's just one. I don't know for sure. I'm not a game developer, and indeed it shows.
You're not?
Believe it or not. No, I know. It's shocking, right? But I'm not going to try and give, here's how you improve your game in this way, because I don't know. I don't know if this is an engine thing or a gameplay thing, but as it stands, I think it's cool. And
One thing that I
that's it.
wanted to mention, Viper, by the way, and it's useful because not all of the games have this, but some of them have like a little progress bar at the end of the page, or a development progress bar.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and Sonic Colors does. It's 45% complete at this point.
Only 45, really?
45%.
It feels a lot more than 45. There's like, I don't show it off in the gameplay, and indeed I didn't play it, but there's like the missions as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a full hub world in there. There's 3 acts per zone, I believe, of the 3 zones that I got to play. I don't think anything beyond that, like Planet Wisp or anything, but it felt very feature complete. Even though it is only half a game, it still felt very feature complete. So I'm surprised to hear it's only as little as 45%, honestly, because it's very impressive for not even halfway done.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah. And it's nice that they included that. This one has.
Yeah.
Weaving in Time doesn't have a progress bar, so we don't know. But it looks like it's over 100%. Or not over 100%, over like 90%. Over 120%. Yeah, of course. Okay, so that's Sonic Colors Demastered. Thank you, Viper, for sharing that. Didn't play it this year. Played last year's version. And so, yeah, definitely looks like it's something that's progressing nicely. Up next, Lime with Aureole.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
I had trouble with that too. I still don't know how to pronounce it. But Aureole,
probably
something like that. I don't know if the E at the end is silent or not.
Ravioli, maybe.
No.
Aureole.
There's
Oreos.
I love Oreos.
Sure, we can call it Oreos. If you really want to, we can call it Oreos.
Okay.
What
about the Oreos game?
Yeah. So I just picked this up and wanted to try this because this just looked like something that I've never seen or tried before, and it looked fun. Like you start a stage by just like throwing a ring far into a stage, and then you get control of the ring, and you make it go through the rest of the game. Basically, like you have 3 jumps basically that you can do. Like you stop, and then you push a direction in order to launch the ring in. And you can do that like 3 times before you need to land again. There is this kind of like spin dash that you can do as well that, really, really works like a spin dash. And you get through the stage that way. And I just thought that it was so inspiring. It was really nothing that I've ever seen before. And it was very much fun, actually. There we go. There's spin dash.
Whoa.
See, spin dash.
This does look interesting.
Yeah, it is very, very much fun, and they add the rings as well. That really seems Sonic inspired, and yeah, it's.
This looks amazing.
It is very much fun.
The typing you heard earlier was actually me wishlisting this game upon like 30 seconds of footage.
Yeah.
Like this has just captured me right away. This looks amazing. Not that the others haven't, but like immediately I had to look up what is
gives
this all
me
about?
some like Celeste vibes as well. Like,
definitely.
Indeed. I was also thinking that, and I see that they have Celeste as an inspiration here. That and Meat Boy.
Okay.
So I don't know if either of you guys have experienced it, but there is a Sonic hack called Snolf.
Yes, that's why I googled it. I wondered if it was made by any of the same team or anything.
Yeah, it's a very similar concept where it's like Sonic Golf essentially. So the only way you can make movement is to sort of spin dash, but you don't have that sort of 3-stage in the air like boosting that you have with this one. This looks really cool. Like just a really fun idea for a sort of puzzle platformer, I guess. No, I'm gonna have to scope this one out myself.
Yeah. It's gonna be available sometime this year.
It says Q4
available
2024.
Q4 exactly. You can wishlist this game on Steam.
The only thing I guess I would at least experiment with, and I say experiment with because I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not what I'm thinking about. But like, because I'm not sure if this idea is gonna like break the gameplay in some way, because I don't like really know the consequences of this idea. But when you do the what I call spin dash and then do the jump move, like you basically stop the ring and then you pick a direction and then it's gonna fly in that direction. I would love it. I would love to see what happens if you keep the momentum there, because right now it doesn't. You can really
Oh,
speed
I
like
see. Right, yeah.
in a high speed, but then when you do the jump thing, it's like very weak compared
Yeah,
to
it
the
doesn't
speed that you
carry.
just had.
Yeah. If you could
Yeah,
like
yeah.
link up moves, right? Like do combos, like
Yeah.
spin dash and
Yeah.
then jump and keep up the momentum going. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
love to see
yeah, this
at
is an
least them
example of
play
that, yeah.
around with that.
Mhm. And
That's
Yeah, I wonder if it's been. I wonder if it's been designed specifically so that like it doesn't. It won't allow you to go too wild because it might, like you say, break the game.
mhm.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like it could definitely have those consequences. It was just an idea that I got that I thought of, that it would be fun to at least play around with if they haven't already.
It
'Cause
might be something that they're
really,
considering for sort of like post game content. Like they update it later with,
yeah,
and now your full momentum carried, through the rest of the game. It
yeah,
creates a
indeed,
Or maybe
weirdly,
something you unlock later as
broken
well.
version
yeah.
of the game. But it's
Mm.
like, go nuts, have fun.
Mhm. For sure. Looks really nice. Looks really nice.
Yeah.
Let's move forward
Good
a little
pick.
bit. Yeah. So I'm gonna wish list this as well. Thank you, Lime, for the recommendation. That's
That's what this is all about, or something.
Oreos
Mm.
in Aureole.
Thank you. I'm
Aureole.
gonna go buy some Oreos now, Lime.
Yes, this is all like this is all
Thank you.
a big marketing move. Yeah. So thank you, Lime. Thank you very much. This is from Team Stargazer, if I'm not mistaken. I believe so. Is it Team Stargazers?
Yeah, that's what I can see. That's what I can see as well. Yeah,
Team Stargazers. Yes.
Gazers with a Z.
Spanish team from Spain, obviously. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, yeah, because they say they're not just from one part of Spain. So I was gonna say from Madrid, but no, it's 2 or 3 parts of Spain. So never mind that. From Spain, they're Spanish. Thank you very much. Go follow them. All the links to these games, and if there are any kind of social media links as well to the teams or the game accounts or something, will be in the show notes. So do check it out if you're listening to the podcast version of this. Moving on. We have one of mine. It's a game that I really enjoyed. I found out about this one. I think I remember this from one of the past sages, like one of the sages of the past, Adventure Kitty Drill Buster, and they put out a part 2. If I'm not, I think they're calling it a part 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the second part of Adventure Kitty Drill Buster. I had never tried any of the Drill Buster or Adventure Kitty Drill Buster games or demos before this, but I thought it was worth a try. And let me just pull up the footage. There we go. The main reason for this, it's Adventure Kitty. You can't go wrong with an Adventure Kitty for sure. It's one of the things that like jumped out at me at first was like the full intro in a comic book style. There we go. Okay, there we go. So it's like like a comic book style intro, the cutscene. It's the continuation of the first part of the game, of like the demos from the past. This is like, I don't know, Mr. Driller and with stealth. I think that's the best way to describe this. And this I think compared to the first one, which I didn't ever try, like the first stage or part of the game, this has more like stealth-like elements because it's called Lights Out. So it actually plays with that. So you're supposed to try to avoid being seen by guards or whatever. And these lights that like these red lights, if you get caught by these like lights, you have to restart that part of the level. So it plays really well. It's not like a groundbreaking concept, but it's nice to play. It's nice to look at. You have an ability that I think, yeah. Now they tell you that you have like a short period of time in which you can activate like night vision mode or something, and you can see hidden items as well, which unless you activate that mode, you can't see those, which is a nice little gimmick as well. You can get like hidden diamonds and see where the coins are. To progress through the different parts of the stage, you need to collect a certain number of coins before like the gate opens. So it's a really
Let's
nice
see, it's gated.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you have to move. Yeah, but you can't go back, obviously, because you already broke like the block. So you can't go back. You can't drill back. So you have to find a way to move forward without retracing your steps. There you go. So like this, for example. And activating night vision mode tells you where the coins are in this example that we're looking at right here. So it's like there's puzzle elements, and it's really nice. The soundtrack is cool as well. Really enjoy this. So recommended as well. And the first part is available to download from their like itch.io page. Yeah. Have any of you guys played this or the
No.
previous demo?
I haven't, but I feel like I definitely should because I'm a big fan of Mr. Driller and Boulder Dash, which just seems to be kind of like a mashup of both. Yeah, really cool. Lovely artwork as well, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks really stylish as well. And like the comic book, the intro looks really nice as well.
Yeah, it's really
I
cute.
really love this art style here. Like, so definitely worth a look as well if you're into this sort of game. Hopefully we can get more of this. I would love to get like a full game. They are supposed to be working on an adventure mode, which is the one that you're trying if you try this demo, time trial mode, and a no death run mode as well, which you unlock at some point, which it's not for me, but it's probably for Lime if he wants to 100% the game. So that's Adventure Kitty Drill Buster by Zay Eltic. Zay Eltic is the person or dev team behind this. Okay. Moving on. Lewis, your last game on your list, please.
Yeah. So my top pick for this year's Sage is Sonic Tameshi, developed by Pudim Abestado. Yeah, this is
Pudim Abestado.
Abestado. Sorry, yes, I do apologize. He
Brazilian
said that I
Portuguese.
pronounced his name perfectly in the video, and I just
I saw
absolutely
that. I saw
ruined
that.
it.
Yes.
But never mind. This is a really fantastic 16-bit style Sonic game, very much in the Sonic CD mold. These lovely, gorgeous animated cutscenes, and an incredible soundtrack that I thought was actually being sung by Vocaloids, but from what I've been told, it's actually a real vocalist, heavily sort of like modified and altered to sound like a Vocaloid. But yeah, it's just extremely colourful, incredibly well playing. You can play as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and Tails and Knuckles have areas that only they can get to with their abilities, which is, again, great stage design. I feel like this is the best 2D Sonic stage design I've seen at this year's Sage. The stages flow really nicely. They've got these sort of multi-layered, exploration-focused stages. Good platforming rewards you a speedy section, which is always the thing that I, focus on heavily with Sonic 16-bit style Sonic games. I feel like that's great stage design. It's got, as you can see, a special stage as well. It's only a single stage, but it's 2 acts and a boss. But it's just so well created. It's made with Sonic Worlds, and I honestly wouldn't have thought it was Sonic Worlds, like, just from seeing it this way. Like, no offense to Sonic Worlds, it's a good little engine, but like it's feeling a little archaic now compared to stuff like the Dash engine and stuff like that. But this really feels like classic 16-bit style Sonic. I'm a huge fan of Sonic CD as well, so anything that sort of riffs on that style of game is good in my book. But yeah, no, I just felt like the execution of this one was just really well done. It is another 16-bit style Sonic fan game. Yes, there's lots of those kicking around, but as it stands, I think this is one of the better efforts. I think it is a really strong start to a game that I'd love to see continued, because I think they're onto something here. They understand really good 16-bit style Sonic stage design. They understand good momentum and physics, and they've just got an eye for presentation. And just the soundtrack makes you smile the entire time you play it. It's just a really, really cute little thing. Highly recommended. Easily my top pick from this year's Sage. I just think it's, as an overall package, it feels like the most accomplished out of most things I've played. We've had a little, go at certain games for not quite nailing controls or visuals, or just, there's been some bugs or performance things. This doesn't have any of that. It performs incredibly well, it handles incredibly well, and it looks incredible as well. Can't sing its praises enough, honestly. I think if you haven't tried Sonic Tameshi, I think you should really, really give it a go, because yeah, just an incredible work already, and I'd love to see more of it. So fingers crossed this isn't the last time we see it at Sage.
Yeah. They say here the game is planned to feature an animated intro and ending, different endings, and the LAN multiplayer. So
wow,
ambitious.
It's interesting to see how they work multiplayer into this. God.
Yeah. It does really play well. It like controls well. So, and the level design is great here. So they didn't try to shoot for the moon here, like a simple short demo, course. But well designed and polished. So yeah, that's the way to go, I think.
As the antithesis to something like Sonic UltraSaturn, I feel like this is like how you do that type of game well. I think. Yeah, it's a shame that UltraSaturn is getting so much attention, when I think something like this really deserves it a little bit more. I think if you want a bit of classic 16-bit style Sonic, but with new stages and the modern presentation that you can achieve with computers, this is doing that so much better. Honestly, like it's an incredible development already.
Calling time extension.
And look, again, I don't want to feel like we're attacking UltraSaturn, because again, it takes a lot of work to make these things, and we just want the projects to be the best they can be. But as an example of how to do that well, I think Sonic Tameshi is a great example of that. So
yeah, and they're aiming at slightly different things. I feel like even the special stages and boss fights are different. There are no like 3D like elements to them, which is fine. So just fine tune your product and make it the best you can, and come back next year. I feel like, but this one definitely a very nice one, and again from Brazil. Which is a pattern.
Brazil absolutely killing it this year. God, I didn't get a chance to play the latest build of Brazonic 20XDX this year, but that's always a real highlight. Just a lot of fun, those games, and just a huge amount of humor to them as well. And like I love that has been like almost a constant throughout every Sage I've ever attended. So love to see it always.
There was one as well based on like a popular real life person that they usually, I don't remember if they have one this year. Okay. Can't remember, Roberto something, I don't know.
Right.
But but they usually have that as well every year, and it's fun. But so definitely check out Sonic Tameshi. 100%. Sonic Yoda's top pick.
Absolutely.
Top pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to Viper's top-ish pick.
Bottom pick.
Bottom pick. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I went in the other order to. My one was. It's complex. Let's just. This is my bottom pick, but it's still very fun. So
it's okay. It's okay. So please do tell us more about Sonic 2 Rescue Tales.
Yeah, so the concept of a remake of Game Gear Sonic 2, it's not unique, let's be honest, or Master System, however you want to phrase it. We've seen, of course, like 2 stages ago the fantastic Triple Trouble remake got a re-release during Sage. Sonic Chaos was in the 2018 one, and that was incredible as well. This isn't like gonna blow your socks off like either of those did. This is very much trying to be a more classic styled game, more of a Mega Drive game rather than any of the remakes of the Mega Drive games or whatever, right? Like, still, as you can see here, it's in a 4:3 letterbox aspect ratio, for example. So that sets you up. It very much plays still like it is on the Mega Drive. It's not 1-to-1, like physics-wise in terms of that sort of thing. It's very much probably like Sonic Worlds or something. I don't know what this is running under the hood. This level, I feel like, is actually kind of a bad showcase for the start, because you can see it's been a bit stop-start, because I keep getting caught on those, the end of minecart. I don't know what you'd call them. Like they stop the minecarts in their tracks. Yeah, it stops. But yeah, it's definitely not perfect compared to those. It's very clearly going for a smaller scale, I'd say, which you're going to kind of compare it to them because that's what the basic comparison is. But I still think it's interesting. It tries to tell the story from the perspective of a sequel to Sonic 2. I didn't get any footage of it, but you start out in Emerald Hill Zone, and Emerald Hill Zone has basically been ravaged because you've already been there.
It's after the fall of the Death Egg at the end of Sonic 2.
Yeah, right, so all of the monitors are smashed because you've already ran through it. Same with all the checkpoints and everything, and then afterwards you come to all these new levels. So you get the first 4 zones of Sonic 2 8-bit. And Sonic 2 8-bit's an interesting case, because whereas I feel like Chaos and Triple Trouble are pretty good games in themselves, and Sonic 1's pretty good as well, but no one's ever really attempted a full remake of that in those styles, of course. I think Casey's streamed them before. There are technically... I don't know, I think they're called remakes, but not quite.
Yeah.
This is the thing. There's so many people who've tried this concept before. It's like, I'm not talking about this Sonic 2 remake. I'm talking about this one. It's complex.
This is the best part of this remake.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
it's making this boss fight tolerable. Yes, absolutely. And the hang gliders. The hang gliders
totally
are actually
different.
controllable as well.
Yeah.
But I'd say it doesn't really bring anything fresh to the table in the sense of it's not like a mind-blowing redesign. Like, it's very still much grounded in its source material. It just does these little small tweaks here and there. Like, this boss isn't like a Mania level of redesigning it, but it's still a welcome redesign, right? Like, you get what I mean. If you know what you're going in for, then it's a perfectly fun time. And another game I got a bit of a soft spot for is Sonic 2 8-bit. It's the weakest of the 4 main Master System Sonic platformers, mainly because it's just way too difficult, which is also something that's nicely addressed here. So in turn, I like this quite a lot. Another complaint I'd say I have is you can't see it on this footage, but it loads up in genuinely about 100 to 200 pixels wide by about 100 pixels tall.
Yeah.
So I had to blow this up on the OBS screen capture, but you can tell I'm kind of just playing really sloppy because I'm playing through the OBS screen capture to actually see what I'm doing.
But I think you can. I remember I put this in full screen mode, or at least like
you can. Oh,
I think
that's news
so.
to me. I didn't even know that.
Probably.
It wasn't
always try
Alt
Enter.
Always try Alt Enter.
That's a good point. It wasn't marked to me in the game at all, so I didn't know that was there. But
no,
mind.
Never expect them to tell you those things. No. Why would they?
Also, helpful hint: Control and Y if it's Sonic Worlds, because it might have a control screen there still.
Yeah,
Something I still remember. No, as I say, it's not the sort of Sage demo where you're like, oh my god, I can't wait to see more of this. Like, obviously, I want to see more of it, but you know what I mean. It's like. It's very grounded in what it does, which is why it's in 4th. I would say it's the most impressive 2D showing here this year, but it's pretty far up there. I'm interested in what they're making, for sure. I'm aware I've not really sold it very well. It's one of those things that I find it quite difficult to sell, unless you're just going to go ahead and play it. But if you wish Sonic 2 played a bit more like Sonic 2 and not any of the more recent classic Sonic games, then there you go. This is this game in a nutshell. So it's shaping up quite nicely. I'm looking forward to see what more updates and development brings to it, because I feel like there's a lot of potential still to be mined out of this concept here. So I'm hoping we see it tapped into a little bit more. But even if it just stays much the same, just with more levels, I think there's still a lot good going for it. By the way, Aqua Lakes Act 1 here has a lot of great level design. It's got a really nice flow to it. Act 2 is about 8 minutes from what I saw of Animated AF stream, so can't say the same. But Act 1 has a really nice classic Sonic. It is a little bit of put the controller down and just hold down on it, but I don't know. There's a lot of good speed and like loops and things here, which just really capture the going fast mindset, which is something Sonic 2 8-bit never does. So you're already improving on the source material a lot from that. So yeah, I'd say give this a shot for sure. I think it's a good showing.
Okay, yeah. I tried this one, by the way, and my main criticism here is the level design isn't up to par with, like, of course we are going to compare this with the like Sonic Triple Trouble, 16-bit, and other like types of projects like that, but I think they try to stay too close to the original, the source material, and that doesn't really does the game a whole lot of good. I think they should be more creative with this. And they actually admit that the lead dev, I think, Liker 2003. There are people who not very politely point out that the level design should be better in the game page, and they do admit that they need to work on that, and that they are going to probably like scrap entire acts or zones and redo them from the ground up. Probably.
But I think like you say that with the level design, but like even I don't want to throw it under the bus again, but like I still think there's like levels to it, and like I'd say this is like middling. You got Tameshi, which is here, and then you've got UltraSaturn, which is a bit more like here. So I'd say you're kind of like floating around here, right? With as Lime says, it's an art, and art comes in various different forms and various different skills. So it takes everyone time to adapt to the art and all that. But I'm glad they've been willing to listen to the criticism on it, because personally, I don't know if I'm jaded, but I've played a lot worse fan game level design than this. So I was like, this is fine.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Been around the block a few times. We've
been through this Sage game.
Yeah. And that's it, right? So sometimes what happens is we get used to like very high quality projects, and remember that we shouldn't expect that from everyone. No, it isn't fair to expect that from everyone. Not everyone aims to do what Lewis said before, like release like one of these fan games, learn from it, make it better, and then do it like professionally and release a commercial game. Not everyone does it for that reason. Some people are doing it as like just a hobby.
Absolutely. And you got to remember as well, like the age demographic is going to be huge. Like there's going to be people that are incredibly young making their first ever projects, and maybe it's a little unfair of us to be like ragging on those things, because it's just like we can't really hold them to the same standard of someone who's been doing it for years and years and years. Like someone like a Lake Feppard who made like 4 full fan games. It's not fair to judge them on the same caliber because this is their first go. But
sure.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Again, we're just trying to recommend how we can make your project better.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's the whole point of this. Yeah. So Sonic 2 Rescue Tales is another one to look out for by Liker 2003. Thank you, Viper. And that leads us to my final pick, because Lime's final pick has already been talked about, right, Lime? Project Reignition.
Yeah, indeed.
Which you should check out. We all praised that game highly, that demo highly. My last pick, so I went with this one, like I said, because I wanted to like add some variety. Vocaless. So let me preface this by saying that this was played with the keyboard again, and why? Boo. And also, I should have tried the tutorial first. That's another thing that you should do. If there's a tutorial, it's probably a good idea to try that first. So you are supposed to, as you can see, you are supposed to play to the beat, right? So like a number of other games, this is not an original concept, but it's something that I found interesting to be featured in Sage. Am I dying here a lot? I think I'm dying here. Yeah, that bird kills me a lot because you're supposed to stomp on him, but they go. So unlike some other games that you like, there's like a grid and like a tile system, and you can only move
Right.
in time with the beat. Here you have like total freedom of movement, not total, but like some freedom of movement. So you can move not in beat, but jumping, dashing, attacking enemies has to be done to the beat. And if you don't, and if somehow you jump not in sync with the beat, you lose points, which is something I find a little bit odd and punishing. But that's because I suck. So, of course, I would find this punishing. Actually, I'm playing better than I thought I was. Did I edit this? Maybe.
This is Tass.
So you have different characters you can play as. They all have different. I think it's two, not like that big number, but they all have different special moves as well. And I do think I brought this one up because I think this has potential to be it does look good. It controls fine with the keyboard if you're into that sort of thing. But I do think it's a little bit laggy at times. There were moments in which I'm sure I was, synced up to the beat. I was moving to the beat, and the game still told me I failed. And I saw other people commenting on this as well. So in some parts of the game, it's a little bit laggy. So it's something that they need to work on. But I do feel like this is an interesting concept. It's like one of the types of games that I enjoy. I think this is right up Viper's alley as well, probably, being a rhythm game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to play this for sure because I actually found this same concept quite grating in Hi-Fi Rush, which was a game everyone loved. I felt like the rhythm game actually made it so restrictive in terms of doing really basic things. But as you say, the freedom of movement there feels like that's already going a long way to helping with that sort of thing. But yeah, input lag and stuff like that, just general moment to moment, the game stuttering and stuff like that is going to be a big problem in a game like that, I can imagine. So for sure would like to see that fixed.
There's no stuttering here. It probably is like just from the footage being shown here using this like software.
Okay.
But there's no input lag, probably a little bit. Yeah. I feel like there's if you follow the line at the bottom, and if you like just follow the music and the beat, I feel like that at times it's not really as it should be, but it's something they can work on, as accurate as it could be. But they can work on this. I brought this up because I wanted to like shine some light on this, and hopefully it can get fixed and more polished. They have an interesting story as well, which I'm not sure if it's something that really a game like this needs, but if you're into that, it's interesting. They have actually start the game with that. I didn't record any footage from that, but it's interesting. But I thought it was nice, like something a little bit different. It's not like a platformer or like a puzzler or something. So it's nice.
It's
that
a really cool concept. Looking at it, for sure. Intriguing just based on that alone. So it's got my attention. It's done a good job in that regard. So probably gonna have to check this out.
This one doesn't have a progress bar either at the bottom, so I don't know how long.
So much problem with these seagulls here. What's your beef with them?
So
both you and the game, right? Why do you have to kill
I
these
don't
guys?
like birds. I don't like birds. That's my problem.
It goes back a long way.
You can grind as well. There you go.
And you can be in a frog outfit, apparently.
Exactly. There you go.
What's not to love?
What's not to love? And you can dash, and you
it's
can
got it
wall
all.
jump and stomp. I think I have a hard time stomping through these blocks as well. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I'm trying to stomp.
Maybe you just suck.
That's not maybe. That's not a maybe. That's a definite. Yeah, like 100%. Yeah, that's a truth there. It all started with the birds. That's true, ST in Super Hang On. Okay, so that's Vocaless. Try this. This is by Slap 16. Slap 16. That's probably it. Slap P16. Yeah, we'll link that in the show notes. So that's my final game. That's the final 15th game on our collective list of games. So just briefly, because we are like very well into the 2 hour mark, briefly, and I switched orders in the outline purposefully because I wanted to focus more on the games. But overall impressions about this year's event, maybe compared to previous ones that you attended and you like played the games. Lewis, let's start with you for this one.
Again, I mean, I haven't really got a whole lot to criticize here, to be honest with you. I think Sage is very established now. It's got like a style that it seems to deliver on every year. It's definitely got that whole. I like the fact that they've got like a nice split on the website so that you can go specifically to mods if you want to go to fan games, if you want to go to indie games, and I do like that they kept the focus nice and large now, and that they are welcoming to lots of different people. And I do like to see projects evolve as they go on. You know, it's lovely to see certain fan games turn into indie games, and you know that hard work that they're putting into their developments is you know becoming an original project that they can actually sell and be you know financially reimbursed for all the hard work that they're putting into it. My main complaint with this year's Sage is I do feel like they left the trailer to the event very, very late this year. I don't know why that was. It did seem to just like happen the week prior to the event, and then all of a sudden Sage was here. It didn't really feel like we had that big, you know, lead up to the event, gather some hype, get some more people, get some more eyes on the product. I mean, like in previous years, we've had people like Digital Foundry covering Sage games, and I feel like this year's Sage just sort of happened so quickly that, like, you know, it didn't really get the attention that it really should have got, because there's some incredible stuff here, and I think it's doing the event a disservice by not giving it like more time to build hype and get more focus, get more eyes on what's happening here. I think some people have been a little bit harsh on what's available this year. I think, as always, like, certain projects seem to come to the forefront more than others. There seems to be an awful lot of fighting games this year. Lots of Sonic Fighters. I don't know why that was a big focus this year, but you know, no offense to those sort of developments. I think it's cool that there's lots of people wanting to do that sort of thing. It's just how things work out sometimes, isn't it? It's just what with this being such a variety grab bag of projects, it's whatever is the popular thing at any given point comes to the forefront, right? And I guess this year it was just fighting games, but yeah, no, I think it's been a great event. I've really enjoyed my time with it. I've really tried a lot of really varied, interesting stuff this year. I think that's the big thing I've really taken away from this. It doesn't feel like you know, as I jump from game to game, I'm seeing something different with almost everything this time. It doesn't feel like everybody's making a 16-bit style Sonic game, or everybody's making a boost style 3D platformer, which in past years has definitely been the case for certain projects. But yeah, no, I've had a really good time with it, and as always, I want to spread the love of this event. It's always a huge part of my calendar. I love covering it. I still continue to do so. I've been covering it in video form since 2012. I've been covering it written on SegaDream.com since 2009. It never ceases to be a great thing to explore. You know, you always find something unique and cool, and games just seem to pop out of the woodwork and just like appear and be like your new favorite thing. And that's always the great fun of Sage, is like like, who knew Sonic Tameshi was coming? And then like, oh, this is the best thing at this year's Sage. Like, I love that sort of thing. I think that's excellent.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it's a great event, and I think the one thing I would say that it just didn't really have enough time to build up the hype that it would normally. I think they needed to get the trailer out a little bit earlier in the year, just to, well, maybe not even earlier in the year, maybe just a month before.
Yeah.
Like let's build up some hype. Let's get the hype train rolling for Sage, because I think it deserves that attention. And as a result, we didn't really get an awful lot of major press on Sage this year, which is a shame.
I would say that they should probably consider having like making these games available, if possible, a little bit earlier to people who cover the event,
Yeah.
and have like the public week be the week that they want, the scheduled week, but people who cover the games have a little bit more time with them to find it, because there are a lot of games. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, this is
They're
it, right?
probably-
It's like 100 entries now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, look, yeah, if you go into like games, right? Between indie games, this is just the indie game section, right?
Yeah.
Indie game section, still going, still going. And then the fan games, which are more focused on Sonic and other properties, right? So a lot of stuff, mods, frameworks. So you can't possibly in 1 week try everything, which is what why I said maybe if somehow we could get more access, especially people who like do video content like yourself, get more access, then we could like focus more on the games that should get more eyes on them as well. Because
It's fair. It's fair.
no, I'm not bashing the those smaller projects that are not really that great. It's good that you're doing what you're doing and keep working on that. But definitely some games deserve more time with them and like more some of the spotlight on them. Having more time to experience the games and check
I
them
agree.
out should be.
I mean, because as well, like for someone like me who's like rushing to make a load of videos in 1 week,
Yeah.
You don't get an awful lot of time to really get to grips with a game. And as a result, maybe I'm being a little unfair on projects, because it's like, well, I can't sit here for hours on one specific game. I have to go to the next thing, make another video. Otherwise, it's just not happening, And I want to cover as much stuff as possible, and I don't want to just continue to revisit games I've covered in previous stages. I want to try and highlight as much that I haven't experienced yet, so that they get some time in the spotlight as well, because everybody deserves to have some criticism and some feedback. I think that's important, because like we've said many times now, I want to see these games be the best that they can possibly be. And yeah, I don't want to do your game a disservice by playing it for 20 minutes and then going, well, I've seen everything I can see here. Here's the review.
Yeah.
When there's
Yeah.
probably a little bit more to say about it if you give it the time. So
Sure.
yeah, I agree.
That's a message that I also want to send out there to the ether, that it can be important to consider like where your game is right now. If it's an expo, then it could be a good idea to either cut some things out, or like let people skip things, like get to the good parts, so that you can really get to the meat of the game. Because there were definitely a few times where I really couldn't do that, because there are a lot of games that you want to and need to try out, and you don't like have all the time in the world. And so it would be a huge help for creators like us, I feel, when it's an expo like this, to at least consider that, yes, this is an expo, and that has certain
a little bit like
things to
if
it.
you're going to like a Gamescom or something like that, and you're gonna play Sonic X Shadow Generations, you're not gonna go through all the cutscenes. They just
No, exactly. You'll front
present you
load
with
it,
two
Yeah,
acts,
the action, right?
this or that. Play, you're
indeed.
done,
Yeah.
right?
Imagine you come up to one of those games. You have like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then all of that is the first cutscenes of the game because they didn't cut it out. Like, yeah, you need to trim that fat when, yeah, you need to consider the context of where it is,
Mhm.
where your
And
game is.
I know I've definitely taken flack for, covering a game that probably doesn't put its best foot forward, and later on in the game it starts to do more interesting things that I didn't get a chance to showcase because
Mm.
I work a full-time job and I have to try and work all my content creation around that, and it's just I don't have the time, unfortunately. Sorry if I gave a disservice, but so understandably, yeah, having more time to sink your teeth into something a little bit meatier is appreciated because it just means I don't do your project a disservice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I do agree with that as well. Yeah, Viper, any thoughts?
No, not really. I would just. I mean, the big thing for me is it feels a bit disingenuous to give like, oh, it was this good or that bad when I only really looked at a lot of the games today, and even then it was only a handful, right? So I can't go, oh, it felt a bit worse than last year's Sage, guys. Come on, step it up. Like when I actually gave that the time of day to sit and play everything great. I will say, in regards to that, I think it's important to, as with everything in life, measure expectations because the last few years of Sage had some very big games that generated a lot of hype. So it's important to remember not every year can have a Sonic treble 16-bit, or there's that Riders fan game a few years ago that felt like it was everywhere for a little bit. 2020 you had like the fully complete Sonic GT, which blew me away. So it's important to remember like not every year you can have a fully complete, feature complete, like retail looking fan game that just blows everyone away at Sage. Like there's got to be quote unquote the gap years, which I don't even think this year is. There's still loads of great years.
No, because you have UltraSaturn.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
She's everywhere.
But there are complete games at this year's Sage, which I think aren't getting the thing. Like Sonic Adventure Blast 2 is a complete 3D Sonic fan game.
Yeah,
that was at this year's Sage, and like, who's really covered that? That's such a shame, right? Like, I think
know people love
there's a lot of content there.
Yeah,
so,
there's no time to try everything, right?
Yeah,
so that's the issue.
And in the same way that there's no time to try everything, there's no way for everyone to cover everything. So like, there's a lot of big things going on in this year's Sage that just haven't got the attention for various reasons Lewis has mentioned, and also reasons you can guess, I imagine. So it's like, yeah, just because not everything's getting like loads of attention on paper doesn't mean it's not worth checking out in its own right. Even if it feels like, oh, there's no big game this year. Well, there is. You got to find it for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing to me. Going into this, I was like, oh, there's a few games here that seem really interesting, but there's no standout smash hit. And it's like, well, you find your own smash hit for one, and two, not every time you need that. You just need a good supply of steady, great games, and that is still here, same as it is every year. You've just got to remember to keep your expectations in check. But that's a lesson for life, and not just for Sage.
Exactly.
So remember that, people.
You heard it here first.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say that's a lesson for Lime.
Yeah, Lime
as well.
I don't know why. I was like, what? What did I do?
But yeah, ultimately, I guess if I could sum up my thoughts, I just wish I'd spent more time with it. But really, that's on me. I've done, I did one of these with you last year, as we all did. So I spent a lot of time on that, and this year maybe, I don't know, felt a bit more burnt out after playing so much last year. You can't quite place where it always is, but no, I do wish I'd spent more time with this, and looking at all the games that people put forward makes me a little regretful that I only put aside an afternoon today.
There's still time, though. There's still time.
There is. That's the
obviously
thing.
We wanted
to remain up.
I actually considered.
The games aren't going anywhere, are they?
Yeah.
This is it. Like, it's almost like event week is kind of the worst way to experience them.
Yeah.
Like, once you're free of event week, it's like, well, now I've got free reign to just browse and
Yeah.
play what I want. I want to give a special shout out, by the way, to Sonic the Hedge blog, who have done GIFs of every
Yeah.
single game at this year's Sage. Go and scroll through that, because you will just see things and go, that looks like my cup of tea.
That happened to
and
me.
that, yeah, that's how I found Sonic Grind. Actually, I was looking at the GIFs and I was just like, that seems like something I'd be really into, and that's why I want to check it out off the back of that.
Mhm.
Definitely look at people's recommendations, because I think it is hard to look at a list like we just did of hundreds of games and go, what's worth my time? Like, what do I pick here? You can't play them all. So I think having resources like Sonic the Hedge blog, who have done that, like, you get a visual encapsulation of like everything, just a little GIF that sums up what the in-game gameplay is like. You'll know just by looking at that, like, whether that is in your wheelhouse or not. And that's a great way to discover things, because yeah, it is too much. It is too much to try and navigate within a week. But this is the joy time now. Like, this is you don't have the weight of expectation and oh, you have to get all your content out this week. Now you can just hit the weekend, browse the site, see what you like the look of, and just try stuff and play things for yourself. And that's the best way to find stuff. Champion that stuff as well. Definitely talk about it. Get it
For
on
sure.
socials. Talk about things
Sure.
that you really like, because I think it's important. I know that I had friends that checked out TechPack Collection just because I said I liked it, so that was really, really lovely, and I'm glad I got that games a few more eyes, because
Mhm.
I think they deserve it. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, look for recommendations, use
So,
resources.
start
like
with the 15 that we mentioned, and then go from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Actually,
Only once
16.
you played those.
I wanna to shout out one that I skipped that one and went with the Vocaless because it's a little bit different. Yellow Taxi Goes Room.
Ooh,
I've
I
seen
didn't
a
even know that
lot
was
of
in
Yellow
there.
Really fun game. Really fun
Yeah.
game. Actually, it's like a platformer. you play a little like Yellow Taxi created by an Italian man called Mario. What? And and it's really like a wind up car, and you like can really go vroom. That's actually the whole gist of it. You go
And you're a
vroom,
yellow taxi, to be clear.
and you're a
yeah?
yellow taxi, so it really does what it says on the tin. You collect coins, you have like power ups and stuff, and like there's platforming sections and stuff, and it's a really really fun game. So that should be one of those that you check out as well. But like Lewis said, try to find recommendations and what you said is important. Sometimes I looked at a game and said, okay, maybe this is interesting. Let's see if someone talked about this already, and no one mentioned it yet online. And that's a little bit disheartening, even for the people working on it, because it's really. I think as Sage progressed and in more recent years, the sheer size of it is also a challenge for developers, right? You have a very like slim chance of getting noticed by the mainstream, if we can call it mainstream, like the content creators and the people actually covering the event. It's very easy to just like get a notice. So if you do find a game, especially if you feel like not many people are talking about it, just share the love. And yeah. Sounds crazy, says Resident ST. I see what you did there with the taxi thing. Yeah. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for joining us, for joining me especially, and joining everyone watching live as well. Thank you for coming on the show. It's always a highlight of the season. I think the Sage episodes, and especially this and last season when we're all together and talking about these games. I really enjoy these episodes. So let's go around the table, so to speak, and plug stuff. So let's start with Lime. Where can people find you? Briefly, very briefly, 30 seconds or less.
You can find me at Lime Reversed on mainly Twitch, YouTube. I upload. I've started uploading more videos on YouTube, actually, and Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, all the same handle on all of them.
Lime reversed.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. Viper.
You can catch me on radiosega.net, of course. Tomorrow night, both on there and on KNGI.org, I'll be doing my 100th episode of Viper's VGM. I plan on covering a game from every year that I've been gaming. The most important game of each year I've been gaming. It was a listener suggestion. So 7 p.m. UK time, if you want to catch that. Once again, either radiosega.net or KNGI.org. Otherwise, I'm at the Green Viper on pretty much everything but Twitter, because I'm awkward like that. So you can think of it. I might be there. I might waste your time because I'm probably not, but I might be.
So you never know if you don't try. If you like search
Exactly.
for it. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Thank you very
Be
much.
vigilant.
And congrats. Be vigilant. Congrats on the 100th episode of Viper's VGM.
Thank you.
Okay. Lewis.
So I run SegaDriven.com, a Sega news and information resource, and it has an accompanying YouTube channel, youtube.com/@SegaDriven. We've been covering Sage this week pretty heavily. I think we're going to end with about 15 videos on different games at this year's Sage. There is a playlist on the channel for every single year of Sage back to 2012 of our video content coverage for Sage, and really, really good event. I love covering it. It's one of my favorites. And I just want to shout out that stuff. If you want to follow me, I'm on Mastodon and Blue Sky as Sonic Yoda, and Sega Driven are also on Mastodon and Blue Sky as well as Sega Driven. Thank you very much for giving me a little time here to chat with you guys. It's been really
thank
nice.
you for joining us.
It's been very much fun.
Always a pleasure. And check out SegaDriven.com and the YouTube channel as well. Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely worth
Sponsored
a
by.
watch. Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, disclaimer for people watching the video version, the games don't have the Sega Driven logo. Okay. So don't think, no, that's footage taken from the Sega Driven videos. Okay. Don't be disappointed when I can't find that Easter egg, that hidden Easter egg there. Where's the Sega Driven logo? Yeah. Yeah. I apologize.
What, the game doesn't have a Sega-driven logo? Wow.
You have to buy it
So
separately.
disappointed. I'm so
Yeah,
disappointed.
it's coming in a later patch. It's DLC, paid DLC.
Don't patch your games with Sega Driven stuff. Don't spoil it. God.
As for myself, I'm here, the Sega Lounge.
Always here.
Always here. Next week, we have a very cool episode because everyone's celebrating the Dreamcast's 25th anniversary in the US. We're going to be celebrating the Master System's 35th anniversary in Brazil, because that's how I roll. With a very special guest, returning guest, actually talking about the importance of the Master System in that specific part of the world. Very fun episode. We recorded it yesterday, so it's actually happening. So I can tell you right now. So do check that out. And remember, we're everywhere. The Sega Lounge, at the Sega Lounge, including YouTube, Twitch, Twitter,
But not
Blue
TikTok,
Sky.
as we learned.
Not TikTok. No. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching / listening. Shout out to Radio Sega listeners as well. And keep on listening to Radio Sega. VGM, Viper's VGM, VGMture, yeah, is coming tomorrow. So thank you very much. See you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. The Sega Lounge, hosted by me, KC, and part of Radio Sega's network of live shows and podcasts. Theme song and incidental music by OSC. Got any suggestions? Drop me an email to podcast@thesegalounge.com. Find us at The Sega Lounge on X, Twitter, and Instagram, at thesegalounge.com on Blue Sky, and be sure to check out our Twitch and YouTube channel for live video content. You can find previous episodes of the show by going to thesegalounge.com, on the Terra Player app, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Mixed On Productions podcast.